What's up, fellas?
What up?
What's up?
We are live. Kinda, I guess. We're recording live, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not going live, though. We're not streaming.
No. Are you ever going to do that?
I don't know, dude. It's so fucking complicated. You deal with so much BS. You have to do it through YouTube.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We could do it.
Yeah.
We can look into that.
I watch a lot of live streams.
If you want to do it,
I love live streams.
I really enjoy when they do the fight companion.
Oh,
yeah.
You ever,
Yeah. Watch the fight. That shit is
That's
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
That shit's fun. But like, I've only really ever. It's funny. I feel bad, but I've only ever watched one. I always listen to them later.
Yeah.
But I've only ever watched one live. It was cool as shit. Too.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's like Riff Tracks. Remember that Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Yes.
The two robots and the guy, and they watch movies and they make fun of them.
Yeah.
So like I've been watching that forever. Well, the company Riff Tracks, the guys that did it, they made a company called Riff Tracks, and they actually do modern movies. So you can buy like all the Star Wars movies, all the Harry Potter movies.
And they review them.
Yeah. Well, they do. What they do is they do a riff on it, and you purchase the MP3 and you put it on your phone, and then it says as soon as when you put in your DVD, as soon as the Warner Brothers logo, or push pause. As soon as the Warner Brothers logo disappears, push pause again. You push pause again, and go, and we're back. And so you get like I've had it that playing through a Bluetooth, watching a movie, and then they're riffing the movie.
That's cool.
And it's really cool. And Sage and I really like to riff and we riff everything we see anyways all day long. But that's a really good search. Riff Tracks, rifftracks.com.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. So even if you go to YouTube and you go like best of Riff Tracks, you can do like all the Harry Potter movies and like Lord of the Rings and just like maybe 10-15 minutes of just little snippets of it. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Bring out what you got, man, because you're over here You're over here hiding your tequila.
You're hiding
So I brought something special. Lobo Rojo for Red Wolf.
Yeah, it's red too.
Yeah.
Shit, hell yeah, dude.
I got the Red Wolf.
Hell yeah, dude. That's badass.
It doesn't have the highest ranking, but I saw it and I was like, okay, we got to do that.
Is this LeBron James's brand?
I don't know.
Josh. All I know is that brand, the company that makes that makes a whole lot of other, a lot of other different ones. And but I was gonna get the silver, but then I thought, no,
Jamie, Josh.
I like the.
I can do it. Right
I like
now.
the red.
I need your assistance.
Yeah, Lobos. That's LeBron James's.
It's
team.
LeBron.
Shit,
Okay,
that's
never mind.
never mind. I wouldn't have bought it if I'd have known that.
LeBron. I didn't know that. That's wild.
What is that on
That's
top?
an interesting name for him to pick.
Oh, this is the first tequila bottle. This is the first tequila bottle I've ever seen that actually has a Vermont and Iowa recycle value for the.
I was wondering what that was. I thought it was
Yeah.
some weird Okay. Holy shit. Look at there.
Yeah.
Well,
At least someone's recycling.
I didn't even know he had it. Well, shit, man. My high school teacher has her own tequila brand now, so I mean, it's really no big deal.
Everybody's
got a tequila brand.
We're gonna have one day. Hopefully,
let's run it first, man.
Let's do that one first.
Reposado. And what did you? Oh, look at there, LeBron.
See, this is why.
LeBron's going cheap
why.
on the. Well,
Well, the little Mexican,
Let's talk about what you brought, Jose.
The little Mexican kid that glued it didn't do a good enough job.
this one's called Paladar, and it just honestly, I don't know nothing about it. As y'all know, I like the Blancos, and this was a Cuban, so I was like, because now he has the whole additive free section.
Shout out, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, if it's under this section, I'll try it. So yeah, I mean, it just looked kind of cool, interesting bottle, so I was like, let's go for it.
That's the second quart we broke today on these. Well, I got a Grand Mayan. This is a ultra aged tequila, and shout out to Thomas. He got this for my birthday, and I've been saving it for this podcast. So I've had this since July, guys.
Yeah, I remember you sent that picture. I'm like,
so I've had it, and I hadn't opened it, so I'm excited to open that. And then I just pulled one off the shelf today because we hadn't had it in a little while. A Gran Coromino, the Nejo. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll run it back with the extra Nejo, I believe. But which is let's savor this Lobos Reposado. That motherfucker's got to have some additives in it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good.
It is good.
It's good. Good on the front.
Yeah, the nose doesn't really match the taste because
You're right.
It tastes
No.
very like alcohol. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna hit
on the
you.
back side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it tastes like it start a fire. I mean, it smells like it start a fire, but it tastes
But after you get it, I mean, it's good for a Reposado too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it almost feels like an anejo. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've gotten to the point now, like, if given the opportunity, if given the option, I'll take añejo every time.
Really?
I just love an añejo because I like the flavors of it. The other day when we had the Centenario, yeah, I was like,
oh, were you in on that too?
No, he's telling me about it.
No, yeah, because I had said, man, you want something? He's like, no, man, I just like, whatever time in the morning. And he's drinking a Coke, right? I'm like, look, I don't have to drive for 8 hours.
Dude, I have that problem. Like, if I start, I don't stop. So it's like, dude, it's too early right now.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I had to. I think I didn't start. We were running that cook-off. I don't think I started until probably 1 or 2, knowing that we were, would be moving around all evening and everyone's going to be doing it.
Yeah, like once we stopped judging, like we were done, I went back to the tap and then I just sat at the bar and had my first beer.
Yeah.
And of course, that ended
so
up.
Speaking of that,
20 or 30.
So speaking of that, so we have so much to talk about today. First of all, we were talking about that well, you just had your 200th episode recently, so congratulations.
Yeah, we just literally went live 2 days ago with Nate. That kind of snuck up on me, honestly, and I got my episode numbers wrong. I thought that the previous episode with Marshall's kids, which was a great episode too, by the way. I don't know if y'all checked it out.
Yeah, thanks for bringing kids in to make us look bad.
I know, dude. It is what it is. But it turned out great. But I thought it was going to land on 200, so I was trying to flip flop them, and it ended up working out fine. So, anyways, that snuck up on me, and I got to look at it, reminiscing. I'm like, holy shit, dude! Like, we're just talking about it beforehand. We're almost to 4 years of this, and then I'm at next week on October 24th. I will be at 5 years of this show, which is fucking crazy to even think about.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you were on the very first episode.
Very first show.
Yeah.
I remember we were in a meeting one time. We talked about having a podcast. I'm like, oh, like Rogan? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, let me know when you do that. And then when he asked me, do you want to be on the first one? I was like, first I said, why? But I mean, secondly, it was like, yeah, sure. I'd be happy to do it. It'd be a lot of fun. And I'm not gonna say I didn't stress about it, but it was kind of like there was no prepared questions. There was no. We just I don't say wung it. I don't think it's the word wing. We winged it.
We wunged it.
We wunged it. And Donnie, I call him Donnie, was the other guest that came on, and he dated my oldest daughter, so that was kind of a weird reunion.
That was weird because I had no fucking. No clue. Dude, it was so weird. You got to go back and listen to that one.
Well, he thought we were going to be talking about business strategies and stuff like that, and DJ's like, "No, man, we're just gonna talk," and he was kind of like, "What?" And so, and I mean, he's gone off and done all these things with his podcast and everything like that, and he's on a different it's like a different level, not a better level. It's just a different.
Yeah, he's going a different route.
It's just a different.
He's doing well.
Same destination, but different.
Yeah, he's doing well.
And but. What I like about your podcast is you ask those questions that the normal person would ask. Like if you were to explain something to me, and then my next question would be like, well, why?
Yeah.
And I like that you do that. Whereas some people will ask a question, their guest will answer it, and they'll move on to what they were going to say next. Yeah. There's never a.
Well, they already are thinking about something else they want to say.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, wait, who's the guest?
Right, because I think what I have enjoyed about your guests is, and obviously it's probably not the same for a lot of people because obviously within this community, like a lot of the guests like that you've had on, like I know who they are, right? Like I know who they are, but I don't know the person behind the name, behind that business, like why they started, where they started, and what, and even sometimes you dive into personal lives, like, oh, I didn't know that dude had 3 kids and a wife, and I didn't know he went through that at some point in his life, and it's like shit like that, which is like cool to see the person behind the company name or even their personal name,
Yeah, man. It's so funny because we're talking about that, and I've told multiple people I started this out to be like build business on the back of it, and then it turned into just a lifestyle thing to where I like having those weird conversations nobody wants to have with people. And it's funny because honestly, I never feel uncomfortable asking anyone anything. After about 5 minutes of talking to them, that's why I'm like, hey, is there anything you don't want to talk about? Because I'm probably going to fucking ask you the hard question of, hey, I mean, let's have a real conversation here. And like, this is your time. You have an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it goes. This is your time to really talk about some shit you may never ever get to talk about again. So why not use it? You know what I mean?
Well, and you may have mentioned this in the past and on the first episode, but I really can't remember. And I think you explained it to me once, but I can't remember. Explain why? I'll turn off.
Yeah.
Why? The title Frequency Interrupted.
I was trying to come up with some name because I didn't want it to be like podcast with DJ Thomas, because nobody who's the fuck I am, you know, especially when I started it, like, and I'm reaching out to these people all over the world, like having conversations with people via Zoom and shit, like launched this in 2019, COVID like snuck up right behind. I was like, oh shit, this is not gonna work. And so I was like, I'm just gonna zoom in people that I don't even know. I'm just gonna DM them and see if they'll hang out with me. And so, but anyways, I wanted to, like, the kind of thing was like the logo and everything was like kind of breaking through sound waves, like kind of, my goal was, it's funny because I was inspired by Gary Vee first. I was listening to a lot of that. I was listening to a lot of that shit, and I love Gary Vee, but it becomes monotonous at some point. It does. And then I got to listening to Rogan too, and I'm just like, I want to, but really Gary Vee really did inspire me. I'm not gonna lie. Like hardcore 2019, he was like, you got to start a podcast. You got to start a podcast. He was in your ear talking about. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so I did it.
He was doing that. He was telling people.
He was telling people to start a podcast.
Wow.
And Rogan was too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was telling like famous guests,
right?
Not just,
but nobody was doing it. Well, Gary Vee was telling, you motherfucker, everybody do it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm listening to Gary, like, yeah, Gary, fuck yeah, like Gary knows me, like, fuck yeah, Gary, I'm gonna do it. So I did it.
And you gotta love that about him. Like you and I would be like analyze the shit out of the system, and so we wouldn't be just like, yeah, let's go do it. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, I mean, so I just was like, so Frequency Interrupted was pretty much like break the waves, like break the sound, like break the monotonous bullshit of the conversation, like
everything that's coming in your
brain. The black and white, like, so like let's break the waves. So this kind of like the logos, like a fist punching, and then I have like a fight background, and I have a friend, you know, so like it's cool, like implement the fighting and like, but not be a fight podcast, but then like then you see it's like breaking sound waves kind of thing. That, I mean, I come up with the name and this whatever, so it's stuck, and we're here now, you know.
And I've told you a million times, but I'm unbelievably proud of you.
Oh, dude, thank you, dude. Let's not.
Let's
not scratch my back.
No. And honestly, people, if you don't know DJ,
oh god,
and it's kind of like one of those things. I mean, I met you a long time, 6 years ago. We met, and you would never imagine that somebody like him and somebody like me, if you just look at us on the outside, that we would be so close as we are. You know,
we remind me of what's that? Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Twins. Yeah, exactly. Now you're a little taller than Danny DeVito, but it's okay.
Yeah, no.
No, dude, and I can take it further back than this because I knew DJ in high school.
Holy
right?
shit, dude! Yeah.
So me looking back on high school DJ, like I could have never envisioned. This.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like I could this dude would have just like this successful marketing company, this awesome podcast, like all this stuff. Like if you'd have told us back then, I'm like, first off, we probably didn't know what fucking marketing was back there.
No, we didn't.
Or what a podcast didn't exist.
Networking or anything.
Any of that stuff, you know. And it's like,
well, I think, and it's not just with the podcast; it's with everything that you've done. And what I like about it is, no matter what you do it 100%. A lot of people like to delegate things, and delegation is good when you have people that you can trust, or when it's already written out in stone.
Yeah,
and
we were just talking about that.
You know how
Josh
it's going to go.
We were just talking about that. If you're going to do that, you have to create a standard first.
Right.
And then you're upholding your standard by delegating.
Right.
Right. We're still a part of you.
But you're always involved. You're always like hands-on. And it's kind of like when you look at a boss or somebody, a leader in a company, it's always best when the person that you're following has sat where you sat and has done the job you're doing. And it may not necessarily mean that they did that job and then moved up to that position. It could be that they began and said, what does this position do? How do they operate it? What can they do? What do they need? What resources do they need? I'm not going to know unless I actually figure it. Kind of like with you.
Well, I mean,
like if you never stepped foot in the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times those positions stem from stuff you used to do that you're kind of delegating to somebody else now, kind of thing. So.
But let's not toot my horn anymore.
I just want to tell people, it's really a refreshing thing to see somebody like that do, somebody like you, and then all Meeker too. You get Meeker, and then it goes from here to here. His enthusiasm is just off the charts, but it's really good to see that people, because some people say stuff, some people do stuff, some people don't do shit. You know, so I like that you come up with an idea, you verbalize it, and you go for it.
Well, it's really weird now because we're in, like, you're in this area now, and you know this. Like you've been in this world, you know, since I met you. Mm-hmm. But Jose, like, he's down here now. We're in an area to where, like, if you say it, you got to fucking do it.
Right.
We're not in a position at this point in our lives, especially where we're at business wise, or even just area, like culture. Like, if you say some shit, you better fucking deliver. I think the fire's just under our ass all the time, and that helps a lot. I'm not saying that I'm not that type of person that's not going to always like follow through, because I try to every damn time. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to give you 100%, if, you know, to my fullest capability. But we are also, you know, push that as well.
Right. Well, and we had talked about this, you know, earlier, but I remember I was the beginning of 2024, and I was like, you know, February was the longest year of 2024, and the first half, if I thought the first half of 2024 was wild, the second half was P. Diddy whispering in the back behind you in your ear, okay? Because this last, and I'm not just for me, I know for you and for you.
Dude.
What has happened in the last 6 months, the last part of this year has just been...
Even the last 2 months since we've been on here.
Yeah, exactly. Just since we've been on the last 2 months, it's been... So much has changed. So, why don't you go first?
Yeah, let's go, Jose. Let's go.
Tell us about your special news, or just special.
Let's hit this real quick.
So this is a paladar.
Yeah.
Okay. This is no additives, right?
No additives.
We're going with this Blanco.
It smells sweet.
Ooh, it does smell good. That's very fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Very green.
Green, yes.
Yeah. Very, very green.
Dude, it feels empty.
Yeah, at the end, like, it's like, okay, that just went down.
Yeah. It's almost like if you were
Josh, you need to come try this.
If you were to chew on a plant.
Dude, you really, like, just one little... I'm not saying, like, come drink a glass, but you really need to try this. This is the most unique tequila I've ever tasted in my life. I swear to God. Yeah, I talked him into it. Look at this.
Yeah, it doesn't smell like it tastes, and it doesn't taste the same from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, come get a hit of this, because I'm telling you, like, it's... Here.
It's got a pine.
You already got on the... You already got on the... Isn't it extremely unique?
It's like you said, green, earthy, and then it just disappears.
It's empty. Isn't it crazy?
It's like an IPA of fucking tequila.
Dude, it's very interesting.
And the aftertaste is still very green.
Yeah.
It's very, very green. Which I don't mind. I actually like tasting the agave. I like tasting the plant.
That's why I'm on these Blancos.
Yeah.
I'm on this Blanco kick that I can.
Do they have this in Añejo?
They do.
Because I would love that in Añejo.
They do. They had
I'll try that.
Reposado in Añejo.
I'll have to try that.
It's weird for me. I'm still in a weird spot to where if I'm drinking it straight, it's Añejo, and if I'm mixing it, it's a Blanco. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that. I can get down with that.
Yeah, it's delicious.
When you take a bigger swig, it really tastes piney.
Yeah, that's where I got it when I took that. I went ahead and finished it off. I went ahead and finished it off.
No, not again. not beforehand, no. I'll take it with me, but not ahead of time.
But yeah, Jose, let's get into it, man. I want to hear about it because, first off, congratulations.
Yes,
sir.
congratulations.
I'm extremely proud of you.
Yeah.
And we have been in your ear for a couple years now. But I understand that it takes a lot of praying, a lot of consulting, a lot of lost sleep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, officially, I'm full-time 7th Tap.
Fucking right. Let's go. Let's go.
That is I mean, I'll dive into it a little bit. It came under circumstances kind of that I wasn't expecting, right? So just to like kind of just shorten, like I was up for a position that I thought I deserved. I didn't get it. I thought I had, put the experience in. I had put the work in, did everything that I had to do and deserving of, making that next step. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Didn't sit right with me, but at the end of the day, it's not my decision to make, So
I have one question.
What's up?
I just want to... The person who did they do something on the side?
No.
Okay.
That I know of. Okay. I mean, there's multiple people that made that decision.
And that's fine too, but I was just kind of thinking...
Saying, did they have another business?
No,
they did something else?
No, not that I know of.
Sometimes people talk about commitment.
Yeah. And I mean, but that's like one of those things too where it's like, that kind of hurt from a perspective, and it's just like... Again, I don't want to dive in too much because that's one thing. Like I I'll say this. That's one thing that like I prayed and I hoped for, that like whatever separation there was, it was never going to be, I was never going to leave that place with anger or ill will towards anybody.
Right.
And I'm in a good place with that right now.
Good.
And I'm good with that. And that was kind of like my big thing or whatever. But, you know, that was kind of one of the things that was a little hurtful to me, because it was one of those things that's like, y'all don't understand like the bullshit that I deal with outside of this place to deliver every single day here, you know? So it was what it was. And, honestly, that day was like a really, really hard day for me. It really was. Like, it felt like a...
So when did you decide? At one point you decided?
No,
and then, like,
it was a letdown, and it was just kind of like one of those things like, where do I go from here? So...
How long was the conversation with your wife about it?
It was like a very long conversation. I mean, I was like down in the dirt, man, like bad. Like, where do I go?
Did she say like, you need to, did she push you to make that decision?
She was the first one to be like, you don't need to go back.
Fucking right.
And I was like,
I'll support you whatever you do.
Yeah, and she's like, she was very like, we'll figure it out. And
Good woman.
and I was like, I mean, I don't know. You know, we're accustomed to a certain lifestyle. And again, like I've said this before, it's not some big extravagant lifestyle, but you are accustomed.
Still is.
Right.
It's still your it's your level.
Yeah.
So we sat there and we talked, and I mean, the most impactful thing she said to me is, she's like, you've given them 13 years, and in return, you're losing your sanity. Because she's like, you're literally like a shadow of your former self, and I don't.
Wow.
She's like, and I'm not saying it's just the job. It's like, it's everything you're doing. You know, she's like, and it just like kind of stuck with me. So at that point, it's like, okay, maybe it is time to step away. And I am a spiritual person. Like, I pray about stuff all the time. But I also resonate that like some people are not, right? But I think regardless of like what perspective you go towards, like for me, it's like God's just opening another door. But I see it from the other perspective too, is like everything in life happens for a reason. And I truly believe that. So I never went into that with the intention, like, if I don't get this position, I'm out. That was never like, you know?
It just made you reevaluate.
Yeah, it made me reevaluate.
It was that nudge you needed.
Yeah. And I mean, so that happened, and then I mean, I even texted DJ for a job at one point, and I was like, "Dude, you got anything for me?" Because I'm
and let me give you real talk on that shit. I was like, I sit there and I was like, "Fuck!" I immediately said, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, I was like, "Dude, I would be doing an injustice to you to even entertain that, because then I'm taking away from really where you need to be."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And I told you that already, but I wanted to say that here because like I immediately thought that. I was like, yes, I really got excited for a second. And I told my wife, like, fuck yeah. And I thought for a second, I was like, dude, but then I'm taking away from that.
Right.
And then you're right back in the same position you were in.
It's kind of like a child sometimes when you say, I want to help them, but I can't.
Right.
Because if I do help them, they're not going to see the potential.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, yeah. So it was one of those things where I was just feeling things out. Like, what else can I do? What am I good at? You know, and
So something else part-time.
Right. So luckily for us, like I talked to my wife, and obviously she was very instrumental in like, hey, it's time. Like, we'll figure this out. And so I was like, okay. So then I'll say this, I talked to my business partners, and I messaged them both, and they were like, 100%, what do you fucking need? Let's do it. We got you, right? And they were both very like, you could be doing this, and this. Imagine what you can do if like you're free.
Yeah.
Right. And so I will say that too. Like I've always said, I chose the best business partners. I really did, because there was no questions asked. Obviously, then the financials come into play, right? So it's like, man, I knew a cut was coming. I mean, that's, you know. But to me, it was like, man, the ability to just like be your own boss, like, dude, you can't put a price tag on that kind of shit, you know? And it's like one of those things where it's like we sat down, we came up with a number that like my family can still maintain the lifestyle that they're living, and I'm not hurting the company in any way. If anything, I can add to it, right? So I'll also use that as motivation, though, because now, like, my thing is, like, I want to get Colby and Sam paid, too.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I keep that, like, that's the forefront of, like, I'm pushing this thing now to where I want them to, like, see the benefit in it for me. So, like I said, I mean, it was a hard decision, but, I mean, ultimately, like, I'm happy. And then, so I ended up, I'm still there, but I'm on a part-time basis, and it's very on my terms kind of thing. Which obviously, like I said, I did take a small pay cut working for the tap, but this will kind of supplement that. So it's like, I mean, it's a no-brainer right now.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
Congratulations,
it's been
man.
years.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
And dude, honestly, I woke up Monday and I didn't know what the fuck to do.
Dude.
Well, yeah. So how does it feel? Like,
It
how
was
does it
weird,
feel
dude,
like
because I was like, oh shit, I don't got Sunday night. I was like, I don't got to set an alarm.
you're a weekend?
Yeah. So Sunday night, I was like, I don't have to set an alarm. So I usually wake up about 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, anywhere in between there. And then, so I didn't set the alarm. I didn't wake up till like 7:30, which to me that's sleeping in. Like 7:30 sleeping in.
Same.
You know, and like I get up and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, and the whole house is still asleep. And like my wife wakes up like 10 minutes later. She's like, "Fuck, I'm late for work. I'm used to your alarm going off."
I got another hour before I gotta get up.
I was, but no, it was a very weird. Like I just got up, took a shower. I went to our Linwood location, kind of did some things around there, and then. But it's weird because I was kind of concerned that I wouldn't have enough things to do.
Dude.
But dude,
it opens a whole nother door.
Yeah, I walked in and I was like, dude, I could be. I rearranged merch. I was like, we need merch here, where this is what's missing.
Isn't it funny how immediately the bandwidth you obtained?
Yeah.
Like you're pretty much operating on fumes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And y'all are still killing it.
Yeah.
But now that you have all this extra space in your brain.
Right.
To say, we can be doing this, we can do this, we can do this.
And you saw it in the past, but you realized I can't focus on that.
Right.
I can't. I have to focus on this.
Yeah,
so right now, it's
stuff
just
would get put on the back burner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was just awesome, dude. Like I sat there and I worked on payroll, I worked on scheduling, stuff that I would usually do on my Monday night. So by Monday afternoon, like,
so you were running a business.
Yeah. So I mean, like Monday afternoon, like I went and picked up my kid from daycare, which I rarely got to do. Took him to get his hair cut, and then we met his mom for dinner, and it was just fucking awesome. I was like, dude, this had me 2 margaritas, and I was like, this is good. Like it finally kicked in. I was like, I'm living, dude. So it was good. It was good.
Because a lot of people, and I think some people, that those who are successful are not afraid of hard work.
Yeah.
It's like owning a business is hard work. So you're not actually afraid of the hard work, but some people are afraid of hard work. But somebody like you, it's like, I relish the hard work because I know the hard work that I put in, I'm going to get back.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, I don't know if I can, they cling to something here because for safety.
Yeah.
There's that whole safety thing. And that's the kind of thing too that you kind of ask yourself is like, we're in a safe place right now. We're in a good position. We're in a great place. And I've got a good story about this. We're in a good place financially. We don't really need to rock the boat. We don't need to, but for personal satisfaction, I need to do this or I need to do that, or I don't like where I'm at, so I want to go off and do it on my own. And a lot of people don't understand, and sometimes even until they get really into it, starting a business, operating a business, and running a business are like almost 3 totally different things.
Yeah.
And some person's talent or gift may be in organizing it, getting it started, and somebody else might be managing it. But, there's that when you go, okay, I don't like my job, I don't like what I do, I have a passion for doing this, taking the risk, jumping off that ledge and doing it. Luckily for you, you didn't go, I'm starting at the 7th tap tomorrow and I'm quitting my job tomorrow to go work for the 7th tap.
Right.
You didn't do that. You built it up to a point where you said, okay, now I can do it. And a lot of people don't do that. They go, this is my passion. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And passion is good, but and like for you for passion,
pay the bills, man.
Yeah.
You for passion, cooking. Okay. What's the number one business in America that fails after 90 days?
Restaurants.
A restaurant.
Yeah.
Right. So passion is one thing, but also, do I have the plan? Do I have the business plan? Am I buying the right product? Am I charging enough?
Yep.
Do I have free labor that can help me?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, it's
And that's the big
everything,
thing. I'm not having to pay everybody's, health benefits and things like that. But, starting a business is hard. Running a business is hard. Closing a business is hard.
Let's talk about it.
And let's talk about that.
Let's get in this Grand Mayan, though.
Let's get into
Grand
that.
Mayan. This is, I thought it was a little,
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, man, that smells nice. We're going to see.
And that's extra aged, right?
Extra.
It's very light for extra aged.
Yeah, that's what it says, but hey, who knows? It says ultra aged, I believe, but
So 21 days instead of 20 days.
yeah.
Oh, it's nice. It's kind of nice. Oh, I like that smell.
I like that bottle too.
I know, isn't that nice? Just the grit.
Hand painted, I wonder.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Oh, that smells
Salute.
interesting.
Holy shit. Dude.
Wow.
Dude, it's the same all the way through.
Wow. And it's cold.
We're yeah.
How is it cold?
Ceramic, I guess.
Ceramic, yeah.
And it's been, dude, it's never less than 70 degrees in here. I mean, never more than 70 degrees in here. So, like, We've gotten two extremely unique specimens today because the one, what is this first one? Because I'm so, let y'all pronounce that shit 'cause I'm going to fuck that up. Okay, so that one was just empty, light, and delicious, and this one's just the same all the way through. I've never had one, especially an Ajo, that is the same.
Yeah.
For me, that's me. I don't know what your perspective
right.
is,
And
but
it doesn't
like,
taste syrupy either.
It's right there all the way through. Like you ride it out. There's no shift.
At the end, it's still
good. Like, but it's not a subtle end.
No, it's strong.
It carries
That's
off,
good.
dude. Holy, that's going to be on the list right there. Both of those, dude. I'm going to start like just keeping stock of what we really, really like.
Dude,
you know,
I need a list because I was going to get one the other day and I couldn't remember if it was one that I had grabbed for myself and I was like, this is really good, or if it's one I had brought up here and I was like, this is really good.
I wrote it all down, so what we'll have to do is I'll have to email you guys like a
please, because I
copy
don't
of the
know.
list.
I don't know,
Yeah.
and it would take going back and listening.
Yeah.
I just caught another note there after that second sip. There, it's right at the second part, I guess I would say. I don't know how to describe that, but like the front, right there in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all get it. We're right there in the middle.
It's in the top of your mouth, then your sinuses.
Yeah. But you still don't get a flavor swap. Mm-hmm. It's just a little spike.
Yeah, and it very few of them stay on the top of your mouth.
Yeah.
And this
That one
one
does.
stays.
Gives
This
you
one
that-
stays on
yeah,
the
gives you
top.
Damn, that's a good one.
Wow. Grand Mayan.
Yeah, Grand Mayan. Shout out to Thomas. Great
Thank
selection.
you, Thomas. Ultra Age Limited Edition. Very special tequila.
Where'd y'all get this from?
Thomas got this for my birthday, and I've had it since July.
Nice.
So I've been hanging on, waiting on this. I've been sitting there. I've been looking at it every week. I'm like, damn, I want to try that shit.
That's nice.
Yeah, that ceramic's got to have something to do with it.
It feels
too.
so cold too. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Man, that's great. Yeah. So
Yeah, tell us about it.
there's without going into too much details, the mom and pop business is declining.
Yeah.
It's going away. It's just and it's not just the a lot of it is a small service industries like electricians, plumbers, those small little type of companies. But when some companies prospered at a time, and I always thought about it when I watched the movie Mary Poppins, okay, the second one. There's a scene in there where they have these guys who are lamplighters. They go around, they light the lamps, and then in the morning they douse them out. And that's their job, okay? What happened when electricity came?
Lost your job.
Right. And that, like, they did it, their dad did it,
Yep.
their child has started to do it, and then all of a sudden, we're not going to do this anymore. We got that. And I always think about industries and people who have dedicated their lives to doing something because either they were good at it or they happened to fall into that or it was profitable at a certain time. And everything has a season, I believe. And with the way people purchase now, COVID really, I mean, prior to COVID, it was kind of bad for small businesses and mom and pops. And I'm talking about like small businesses, product, not destination businesses.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
like
you're
yours
talking
is a
about-
destination business.
Yeah, you're talking about experience.
Yeah, experiences like that.
We're talking about product.
We're talking about product. Yeah. So when Amazon came on the scene, first they sold was just books. I remember buying my child's college books from Amazon because that's who sold books, and they started selling other things and things like that. And then people became getting a habit of, well, I'll just get on Amazon and buy it. A company that has been around for say 30 years, and all their customers, they've had customers for 30 years. Eventually, those people who would buy from them retire, pass away, sell their business, stuff like that. So what happens when new people come in? Okay, new people, what is their number one thing when they need something?
Yeah.
I think we should look it up. Okay, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what happens is you end up sacrificing quality for price. And some people are like, well, if it doesn't work, it was only $10. And a lot of people, this is their mentality. It's like, where some people are like, I'm not going to spend $10 if it's not going to work. Well, I can spend $50 and know it works, or spend $10 and maybe take the risk. And the service industry has gone to where it's like, look, I'm not really interested in buying. When I buy something from you, I'm not interested in all of the things that come with it. You know, all the way you can help my product, or for example, if you bought a car,
Yeah.
okay, and then they say, oh, well, you know what? If you buy gas from me, we'll rotate your tires for you. We'll check your oil. If you need it, we'll put it in. So like, people are like, okay, but how much does the oil? How much does the gas cost? Well, the gas costs $4 a gallon. Well, I can get it for $2 a gallon over there.
And I don't need all this stuff because I don't see this because I haven't been in the scenario to need that service.
And but like, you know, not realizing that, you know, when it comes time, it's going to cost me $1,000 or something like that. And so when people's purchasing, when their purchasing habits change, if a company doesn't move with that, and some companies have been good, they've been like, okay, you know what? The internet is starting to come in. So let's start selling our stuff through the internet. Let's start doing that. If you don't have somebody in a business like that moves along with it, eventually the business is gonna collapse just because it can't. You don't have enough customers for it. A lot of those are family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
You know, because the grandfather or the person in charge is like, look, I don't want to do that. I want to do this, and then the kids going, hey, we need to do this. We need to do that. Nah, we're good. We don't. You know, we've had customers for 20 years. We're fine. And so. What ends up happening is you have to go, I've dedicated 10, 15, 20 years of my life to this endeavor, this company, this thing, and now it's gone. Or it's going away.
Yeah.
So what do? Well, like you say, you talk to your spouse. You say, okay, well, what do we do? Well, in my case, I'm making a change because the industry I was in, the things I did are starting to switch and change and not going to be there anymore. And so I said, okay, well, that's kind of one of those scary things where you go, oh crap, I got to get my resume together again, you know?
Yeah.
But here's a good tip, okay? If you do your job well, no matter what it is you do, if you do it well and you give great service, you give, you're personable, you make connections, people enjoy seeing you, you do your job better than anybody's ever done it before, when you become available, people want you. Mm-hmm. Come work for me. Come work for me.
Yep.
I know what you're capable of. I know what you, because we have the resources to let you expand and go do these things that you want to do. We have all those resources. And when you have to make payroll every week, when you have to, you know, when you've got you're waiting for that big check to come in from that government contract, and you're like, okay, health insurance, are we going to be able to pay the $4,000 this month in health insurance? Okay, well, we got this big check in, but it's all going to health insurance. Running a business today has gotten so expensive because companies like AT&T, okay, for example, companies like AT&T, we went from $200 a month for our phone service to $500 a month.
Yeah.
Because they were losing all their customers. They're trying to install fiber optics. So guess what? We're going to make it up through through these people. So when they do that, it makes us go, okay, you know what? We don't want to work with you anymore either. So we're going to go to the internet phone also. And so guess what? Bye-bye. We go from $500 a month to $80 a month. You know, and when you change locations, if you've been in one location for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you say, we're not going to be here anymore, you move to another location, you're going to lose customers. Maybe because they drove by, you weren't there, and they're like, oh, I guess they're out of business, and they don't, we don't need to see them. And you can put a sign on the door, and you can do all those things. But people are like, well, I don't really want to drive another 10 minutes out there to get it, or I don't want to do this. Or for example, when you get a new phone line, when they call, they get a different voice, and they think, oh, well, maybe this is not them, or they always get an answer machine, or always get a please press 1 or something like that. Well, when I always called somebody, they answered the phone. Well, they don't have an app, so I'm not going to use them because I like just having an app and I can get on there and do it on the app. So the point of saying I'm going to start a business, I'm going to run a business, if you're in the proper season for that business, for that industry, if you're in the proper season and you can take advantage of that, do it. But if it's an industry that you see is on the decline or starting to do it, just because you're good at it doesn't mean you should go and start a business for that.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people, there's a lot of things that go on with business that, you know, and I know somebody who, when their business closes, is going to take a 6-month break because they're tired. They just need to go. Tired, I'm done, I need a break. And everybody needs that. When you know, for so long, just like you did, when you woke up one morning, you're like, and I always like to, when I was managing those golf properties, it was a lot of work. I had a lot of people talking, you know, 50 different bosses, things like that. When you wake up that first morning, it's NMP. Not my problem. It's not my problem. Yeah. There, you wake up with a weight lifted off your shoulders, and you never go into work like, shit, I got to go into work. You're like, I get to go to work.
Yeah.
And when you wake up in the morning and go, NMP. And I would get calls like, hi, this is so-and-so. Like, you know what? I don't work there anymore. Sorry. Can't help you.
Yeah.
You know, call somebody else. But making a change at, how old are you?
36.
36. I'm 52. Making a change, you know, almost 20 years older is different, you know? But again, it also makes you think, you know what? I know how to paint. I know how to do a couple other things. There's some things that I can do that are not age required. Age has nothing to do with it.
Does it make you feel like having to make that decision, does it make you feel like you got a lot more gas left in the tank than you realized you did? Once some of that stress is removed?
Yes. And here's the interesting thing. You don't know that you're getting old until you stop and say, I'm getting old. Like, yeah. I look at my hands every now and I go, I've got a few more wrinkles in my hand than I used to have, you know? I've got smile lines because I smile so much or I laugh so much. You know, I got, you know, crow's feet in my eyes, and I don't mind getting old. I'm perfectly fine with getting old, but I also still feel, in my brain at least, young. You know, like I would never be like, I can do what DJ does. DJ does. Oh, hell no. But I can do it as good as DJ does it.
Yeah.
You know, because I can prioritize and say, okay, this is what's the most important thing to me right now. Like right now, in my life right now, the most important thing to me is my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. Seriously, like that. If I had to lose my job for them, I would. Again, because I'm not afraid to work, you know. And I had one friend tell me one time when the golf courses were changing and closing, he was really worried. I was like, man, don't worry. This job is not you, you know. But he said, why aren't you worried? I said, because I'm not afraid of hard work. My whole life, it's always been, I worked harder than the guy next to me.
Yeah.
But then again, when shit goes south, you go, well, what the hell? I worked harder than anybody else around me, and I'm still in the same position I was. Actually, I'm worse off than I was.
I feel you right there.
Before I started, you know? And so, and to your story, if you're single, you don't got to worry about screwing up because you're the only person that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
When you have a family, when you screw up, it's them too. But also when you have a spouse like your spouse. When I'd started a business a long time ago, we were in really good financial shape, and I'm gonna start this franchise, and we started working it, and it was before and then 9/11 happened, and the industry fell, and you know I lost about $50,000 in that deal. And not once did my wife ever say, you know what, she never ever, I'm the one that felt guilty about it. I'm the one that felt bad about it. But she's like, that's on you. We went in this together. We talked about it. We decided it was a good idea. I had believed in you. It was out of your control. Some things are just out of your control. But it's also smart to realize when you go, okay, you know what, this is out of my control, and I'm not going to ride this. I'm not going to stay on this sinking ship.
Yeah.
I got to get off. So having a spouse that says, I believe in you, but also having a spouse that says, you sure? Have you looked at every option? You know, that's always a good thing to have. But, you know, changing careers, changing priorities at 20 is easy. 30s, it gets a little harder. 40s, almost impossible. 50s, never thought I'd have to, you know. Actually, I was a lie. It wasn't a lie. I knew that what I was doing was not what I was meant to do. Right. It was something I did because I knew how to do it. it was convenient. It gave me the freedom to be with my family whenever I wanted to be. And some things are worth more than money. That was worth more than money. Okay. But then also you get to a point where you go, enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm done. And then when people see and go, wait, you're available? Come over here and play with us. Come play with us.
Yeah.
You know, and at that point you can almost write your own ticket.
Yeah, I mean, and I had a little bit of that too, and that's kind of one of the other things that like made me jump to the decision, because I don't know how word had got out, but I had 2 different directors from 2 different hospitals hit me up and were like, "What do you need? What do you want?" Right? And it's like, at that point, I had to sit and think like, I don't want any of this. Like, I'm not, you know, because like in my mind, I was sitting here thinking like, I've been waiting in my life for like a greater opportunity, and I know that I'm destined for greater than where I'm at right now. Like, I know that. So me making a lateral move right now just isn't it. And then when it all kind of circled back around, and it's like, dude, I've already made the fucking greatest move of my life. I'm the owner of the 7th Tap. Like, you know, like, who can fucking say that they own their own successful business and they're fucking doing it, right? And it's like, when I put that in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm not going to let other people's decisions influence, like, who I am, what my greatness is, and what I deserve. And when I got that in my mind, I was like, yeah, we're making this jump, and we're going. But by the same token, like, you say that, like, okay, like, these offers came in, and obviously they came in because I had built a reputation for myself for what I did in my career, right? So I feel like, I mean, I don't try to think in scenarios of worst case, but worst case, I mean, somebody's going to give me a fucking job, you know? If I have to go back to try to feed my family in some type of way, it's going to be there.
Yeah. And it's scary because, like, I remember prior to all this happening, like, some months, you know, you do something and you don't even get paid. Like, you can't make payroll. And you think, what's going to happen if we have to shut down? What am I going to do? But that's because you put everything that you had, or all your faith, in just your ability to do that one thing, your ability to work just for that one company. But when you stand back and you look at it and go, okay, you look at yourself and you say, I'm capable of all that. I know what I'm capable of,
right.
You know, and I've been doing this for so long that I went from here to here because this is all I've been responsible for doing. But I'm really capable of all this. You know, and I think, and sometimes, especially with stubborn people, it takes a kick in the ass like that to go, you know
nudge,
what?
man, a
Boom.
nudge.
Yeah.
You know what?
Because it was a comfort zone for me. I'm not going to lie. I am a creature of habit to an extent. So just showing up, going to work all day and, you know, doing what I know how to do and getting paid for it every day, I mean, it is a sort of like a security blanket, you know, and which, as this, you know, it's, I mean, you're on your own, buddy. Like, this is you getting.
But there is something, the freedom of that is, we were just talking about that before you guys got here. It's your 100% accountability. So you're in full control.
Yeah.
You have, if you want to make more money, figure it out and make more fucking money. If you're in a bad spot, why are you in a bad spot?
Right.
What did you do to get in that bad spot? Everything is on you. You can't blame nobody for a bad day. You can't blame nobody because nobody showed up. Like, you can't blame nobody. Like, when we get to work, it's like, well, let's figure it the fuck out today. We're going to do it. Like, there's a lot of freedom in that, and there's a lot of stress. But it is, there's something about knowing that you're in control.
Right.
And if you fuck it up, you know why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's on you.
But, you know, and on the opposite side of the coin, it's like, good, somebody else has to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Well, yeah, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking
Yeah.
about a new endeavor, if we're talking about an endeavor where it's like, okay, well, you know.
Yeah. But you get to that, you know, you get to that point at some point in time, you go, you know what? It's kind of nice for me just to, I don't have to worry about it if we got paid. You know, I'm going to let somebody else worry about all that stuff. So, but I'm not saying that's what happens for the rest of my life, but I'm saying it's something that allows you to go, to take a breath.
Well, here's the thing. Like you said, like, technology changes, industries change. Let's get into that.
Have we had this before?
We have, I believe.
Well, after that, I don't know how.
I want to see. I want to see what happens. But I use this example all the time. It's trucking, like a trucker. We're 10 years away from it not being a job anymore.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
Yeah.
You know that a machine's going to take your job.
You're a lamplighter, right?
You know, exactly. You know it's coming. So What are you going to do about it?
Right.
When the day comes, are you going to sit there and say, well, I'm whatever, because my job's gone, you know? Motherfucker, like, we talked about it. You knew it was coming. Look at the writing on the wall. You know what I mean?
That's so fucking smooth.
Yeah, that one's got address. Kevin Hart, shout out. I know it does. We looked that up.
That's just Aunt Jemima with water in it.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
shit's good,
that is
though.
pretty
It's
much-
so good.
no, I mean,
Wow.
to what you bring up, I mean, like, just think future proofing is just like something that everybody
That's a
needs
good
to-
term,
yeah.
future proofing. I've
That needs
never
to
heard
look
that.
You got to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
And if your industry's, first off, you come to a point to where it's going to come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Every industry is going to
Yeah.
happen. But if you're constant, like you were saying, if you're dealing with someone or an industry or a business that there's people that are in charge that we've always done it this way, this is how we're going to do it, and they're not going to change, well, then you're destined to
Yeah.
eventually fade into the horizon.
Right.
But if you have someone up on the forefront that says, look, here's our opportunity. We can pivot here. We can do that. We can resell. We can collaborate. We can, do all these things. We can't. You just. I think now more than ever, with the attention span and the in the society being so short term, like you have to.
Yeah.
No matter what industry, and
Yeah.
you always have to change. Like I'm not doing the same thing I was doing a year ago.
Right.
And then in the next 6 months, I promise you, our business model is going to continue to shift. I could ride it out for probably a good 3 years and have a good run and keep everything the same. But I guarantee you, in 3 years, everything's going to change. And if I'm still doing the same shit I was doing, dude, we're in a different.
I noticed an example of that. I'm not sure if I talked about this before or not, but like magazines, okay?
Yeah.
Most magazines are gone.
Yeah.
Okay. One magazine is still here. People magazine.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother-in-law gets it at her work at the shop, and the other day I opened it up and I started reading it. And what's very interesting is it reads a lot like you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook.
Oh, it's just really short articles. And
Very short picture, caption, bam.
Yeah.
There's no more in-depth articles. There's
Yeah.
no more. It's like, okay, they adjusted to
Right.
the we still have those old people that, or not older people that read people. But if we want, when these readers are gone, we want somebody to still read the magazine. We have to make it like they're looking at their tablet or looking at their phone.
Yeah.
And they did a very good job of it. And I noticed it almost immediately going, because it'd been a long time since I'd read a People magazine. I'm like, holy smokes, it's almost like too busy. It's like, da-da-da-da-da.
Have you seen the videos of those kids grabbing the magazine? Josh. Tin Hut. Oh,
knocked
have you seen
out.
the video? Josh, we had a long day. Taking a little sabbatical. There's some videos of these kids, and you hand them a magazine or book, and they try to do this.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
I've tried to do that too.
Well, that's another thing. Like, but even still, like, print is. I mean, how much longer? How much longer do we have?
Well, and so again, with technology, you've got the good and the bad. Like my grandson can call me on his phone and we can video chat, and we can, and so all day, like I'll send him little messages, and he's in school, so he won't get them, but when he gets home, be like little stickers of my avatar, I love you, and things like that. And last weekend when we had the steak thing, he called me. And so I sat down and I talked to him, and he does, the little face things, and he
they
little
change
alien
their,
and stuff like that.
their
And I
face and stuff. Yeah.
And I just love that. And what's wild is that there's things that you do in your life, and some things you get tired of. Things you're like, every time you do it, it's like the first time you did it. It's like the first experience, and like grandchildren are like that. Even if you saw them yesterday, when you see them the next day, you hug them, you kiss them, you love them like you've never seen them. You haven't seen them in a year. And when you don't see them, you're like, I really want to see my grandkids. Because when you're a parent, you got to worry about keeping the kid alive, get them to school. So as a grandparent, your only responsibility is to love on them. And what's interesting is, I was talking to my son-in-law. I'm like, it's going by fast, isn't it? He's like, yeah. I said, I don't even remember really a lot of Sage's youth. And I spent every day with Sage. And I don't really remember it. I remember moments of it, but I don't remember it like I remember Hunter.
Yeah.
And being able to take the time to see them. So even if it's like, well, you just saw him yesterday. Yeah, that was yesterday. I saw him yesterday. Today's today. I haven't seen him today.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the good thing about being a grandparent. But that's a good thing about technology is he can call me and we can video chat and we can do all those things and so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technology's got its place for sure. I mean, it's just it's moving rapidly, and you gotta.
I mean, everything, dude. I mean, we wouldn't be able to sit down and do this if it weren't for everything leading up to that. But at the same token, like every single thing is technology. I mean, dude, if you think about it, I mean, it's not just a digital space we're talking about.
And we talk about like phones and stuff. Like people are on their phones literally every fucking day, all day. And I'm guilty of them with the best of them. But it's like, it's that thing too now. Like even in our space, it's like there's so much shit out there too that like, you know what they're gonna be on and that they're gonna be on it all day. But you still have to figure out a fucking way to capture their attention.
Right.
To whatever business that you're promoting or whatever event you're having or whatever, and that's the tricky part.
That's funny too, and I don't know if I talked about this or not. I might have on the last thing, but when I went to Paisley Park, they lock up your phones. One, so you don't take pictures of everything, but I think also another reason they do it is so that you can focus on what you're doing,
the experience,
where you're at, what you're looking at. And my buddy, his job is pretty much he's a DUI. He finds clients for DUI attorneys, and so like his phone's constantly ringing. You know, we need a DUI attorney, and I'm like, and so after the 2 hour tour, I said, was that the most nerve-wracking 2 hours in your life? Because he couldn't have his phone. You know, he couldn't take a call if somebody called, and they call 24/7. You know, you get arrested 24/7, and he's like, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But like for me, it was kind of nice to put the phone away, enjoy the emotion, enjoy the where you're at. Because guess what? You're not getting your phone back. You're not getting your phone back till they give it to you. I mean, it's in a pouch, so you have it, but you're not going to be able to use it until this is over. So just buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I have a question to ask you. What's this pizza thing I see? Can you talk about that yet?
No, so I'm not in on it, but I can give a little snippet on it. So our good buddies from Saint Laurent are going to open up a joint. Yeah.
Okay.
Where?
It's like where the old. I think it's out. It's on 3180 Eats now. So
I saw it. I saw it today.
In front of where like Superior is.
It's Pizza Ref.
Yeah.
Old Pizza Ref.
Okay. What kind of pizza? Is it like
New
brick?
York,
is it brick?
Brick oven, New York Neapolitan. Like they're fucking great. Dude.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Now, my word that they are fucking great.
I'm telling you.
It's our buddy Caleb, Kyle, our graphic designer.
Yeah.
He's in on it.
Okay.
And another person that y'all probably know really well, Rodrigo, is in on it.
Yeah.
So it's quite the dream team they assembled for that one. And Caleb's kind of
That's the pizza y'all been running at the tap,
yeah,
right?
we run it at the tap.
Okay. And I haven't had it yet.
Yeah, but we do a Detroit style there.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's really good. But, this opportunity came up for them, and I'm more than happy for them. I think that they're going to fucking finally they're going to put something good in there. And I know that, like, obviously if you have someone like Rodrigo, like, handling the alcohol selection, the beer selection, the cocktails that he's going to put out. And I just know, like, obviously Kyle with the marketing and what he does. And then Caleb, who his day job, he's a nurse practitioner, but this dude is he's on like that Sam level, like my business partner Sam, where he's just a fucking nerd about shit, and his thing is cooking, and it's dough, like he breaks it down. So they're going to be legit.
If I can have a pizza and leave and not feel like absolute dog shit, then I know that something was done right. Yeah. And there's Jeff, we talked to Jeff about it, but Jeff's been on here and talked about that, and I'm gonna have to let's get with those guys and get them to talk about this stuff too. But like, there's a science in that too. The most important thing is having the right yeast and the right flour, and not something ultra processed from the United States, which gives you all of those fucking horrible fucking bloat and side effects and all that. But if he's nerding out on stuff like that,
and he knows how to do it,
dude. I'm super excited about that because we don't have it here. We don't have it here.
When it comes to like dough proofing and how long of a fermentation you're doing on your dough and all that other stuff, they got it.
Well, I say we do have it. We have it right down the street.
Yeah.
Shout out to Flying Heart. They do a great job. They do a great job, but we don't have it it's not in Shreveport.
No.
Right. You know what I mean? And dude, with Rodrigo, I'm super excited. I didn't know if I could bring it up, but I saw the picture today. Mm-hmm. I saw a picture a couple days ago posted that wasn't in that group, and I was like, I remember seeing that logo. Let me ask my boy about it.
So we teamed up with them for a little bit, and then we were going to launch like a whole program, but it got delayed, and then now we're kind of running it, and it's kind of like they had this opportunity, and we've been trying to figure out what to do with Linwood because obviously we need to introduce the food aspect. I don't want to do smash burgers.
Well, what's the regulations now? Because I know it's shifted a little bit.
Yeah, they've shifted a little bit on. You still have to be like within percentages as far as your beer sales and stuff, and there's regulations on like your kitchens and stuff like that. But I am super excited about this opportunity now because now me and Colby are like our brains are working again, right? And like I want to pivot, dude. Like I want to do like a fucking crazy sandwich concept at Linwood. Like, tell me right now somewhere you can go and grab a fucking fabulous traditional cheesesteak.
Here, no. There's even a
Nowhere.
cheesesteak. There's even a cheesesteak place that kind of opened up on by Healthplex.
No,
It's
nowhere.
Yeah.
It's still. I mean, it's okay, but it's not.
So, like, you know, like now for like me and Colby and Sam, it's like this opportunity where like, dude, we've already seen that we could create something cool and special. Let's replicate it again in a different concept, right? And a more craft aspect. And I mean, that's where I was like I said, if I smell like garlic, it's me because I was helping our head kitchen girl, Kate, over there, who's about to take over and kind of run the shit for us. And she was like, dude, we were fucking doing it, dude. She was like, I want to do a chicken sandwich. So
what are we talking about?
Dude,
Let's talk about it. What are we talking about?
We did
what are we
like
looking at?
we did like some fucking legit cooked down like a sauce. We had like all the we had like the honey, the gochujang, like all the legit Korean.
We running like a fried chicken.
Yeah, so we're just running specials over there right now.
No,
she's
but
like,
you're thinking like when chicken sandwich, you're saying like fried
so
chicken.
she's doing she's running it this weekend like a panko fried.
Oh, nice.
Chicken breasts. We did the legit Korean sauce. I mean, I made my own pickles over there.
You did like a bulgogi sauce?
Yeah. And I went over there and pickled everything for her. Like, research, like, let's make our own quick pickle. We did quick pickles. And then I made a, you ever heard of yuzu, which is like the lemon juice or whatever? Yeah. I did like a roasted garlic yuzu aioli to put on there. So that is cool to me, right? Because like now, like, to me, I'm like, man, I can bring the food side of like, which is another thing I love. Like here, we're kind of set on what we do. We do the special burgers, and that's cool. But over there, I feel like it's a blank canvas, right?
Oh, definitely.
To like do specials
because it's not a food destination. It's not a thing.
No, I think it's great. Like that place has been a flagship for collaboration. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
I think it continued to be like bringing the barbecue guys in there all the time, bringing the Me Mesa guys, like all those people, like bringing them in there. Rodrigo, like everybody, like. That's always been a collaboration, like flagship, and I think it can continue to be. But also at the same time, bringing you something there that makes it adding to the destination.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's what we want to do over there. Where it's like we're going to create like a staple sandwich menu, but then every week there's going to be specials spinning out. Like this is what we're doing this week, whether it's a taco, a sandwich.
Well, you got to mix it up, man, because like you're in an ever evolving like industry where. Like these people are coming up with some wild shit. Y'all come up with some wild shit all the time, dude, and you have to. And I noticed that that's what separates. And we've talked about it here before. That's what separates you guys from everyone else. Is like, everyone has their staples and they run a little thing here and there, but y'all are fucking pushing the bar all the time. Like we don't give a shit. We're gonna try this.
Yeah, I mean, especially that location where it is. It's not here, right? Like I tell people, the beauty of the East Bank is the built-in traffic, right?
Yeah, it's here,
and it's
you give
not
them
to
something
say
they like.
We hadn't created something good, like.
Right.
I'm very proud of like the beer we're making here, and I'm very proud of the burger we're doing here. Like, and I think people are now sometimes they're coming and they're like, "I'm just here for the burger."
Yeah,
like, and that's as long
that's
as
what I come. I don't drink beer, so like I like burger.
As long as you're in the door, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't drink beer till our last episode, and I drank a whole lot of it.
And I mean, but Linwood has become kind of like a destination thing. Like you have to draw people there. Right?
Well, and like anytime I see something, I'm like, we're gonna go. Like anytime I see they're doing the barbecue collab, I'm gonna be there, dude.
Well, and like with me with food, no matter how much I love you, no matter how much I like you, I'm gonna call you out if it's not what you say. So like Napolitana pizza. I lived in Italy. I loved Italy. I love the pizza in Italy. There's only one place on this continent that I've had pizza just like it was in Italy, and that was a place called Cavalli in Texas. It was by the airport. And Sage and I, this is kind of one of our things. We'd go, and when I take him home after the weekends, and he's like, he's 28 now, and he could drive here if he wanted, but I love that time with him, just me and him. And we went there one day, and it was closed. And we did it for years. I'd go after Sunday, we'd go there, we'd eat at Cavalli. We'd get 2 giant pizzas, we'd take one home, and we'd eat one there. They were closed. We're like, what the hell is going on? So we tried another place, not far away. It was okay. We went to the other Cavalli, which is in Irving. No, not in Irving, it's in North Dallas. And it's really nice. It's like cobblestones. It looks like an Italian village. It's really pretty. Not the same flavor. Not the same flavor. So then we went to another place called Italy in North Park Mall on 75. Really nice. It's like a whole Italian market.
I think I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think I've been there.
We went there. We paid about twice what we usually pay for a large pizza for a small one.
Yeah.
Decent, but not the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. So Sage goes, Dad, he goes, we may just have to move on. We might just have to not get. I'm like, you know what?
Well, I got a place you need to try.
Yeah.
So it's in Frisco. It's called Gallinero. I have a really good friend. His name is Tim. He owns it.
Well, I'll call Tim because
You
Sage lives in Frisco.
need to try it.
Okay.
It's an amazing. So shout out to Tim. Me and Tim have been buddies for a long time. So they used to own.
Text me the info.
I will. They used to own Roma's. So they're actually immigrants from. Dude, I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm not even gonna speak in. Holy shit. God, I can't think right now. Anyways, they're immigrants,
right?
But they have been in the Italian restaurant business 3 generations,
right?
He learned how to speak English here when he moved here by watching TV.
Okay.
So his aunt is originally like immigrated to that area, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they were involved in some stuff. And anyways, she had restaurants, and specifically like Italian restaurants, and phenomenal pizza.
Okay. But I'll be happy to try it.
Yeah, try it out.
And I will say this. I think that like on the pizza scene, why you haven't found that taste is because it's a lot like certain things on the beer scene. Like we could make a Belgian beer, but I don't have Belgian water.
Right.
I don't have the Belgian this. I don't, so you never.
My flour is not.
Yeah. Like they might be getting their flour from like a local provider. Like that's the thing. So, no.
Yeah, and I always go in with
when these guys open up. Trust me.
I go in with the expectation, but also realize I'm not. Yeah. I'm here.
I hope it is because can you imagine you come? You bring Sage here.
Could you
it's right
imagine
here.
me
it's right
telling
here.
you here? God, that's the best fucking pizza ever.
It's right here.
They make this fucking pizza and it's just called the White, and it's literally there's not a sauce on it. It's just olive oil. Mm-hmm. They of course lay down the mozzarella or whatever, and then they do goat cheese, and then they do like sprinkle honey on over the top. And it's just called the White, and it's like the best fucking pizza that I've like ever tried. And I think if I were to speak to Caleb and Kyle, they'd tell me their style is more New Haven.
Right.
Because, that's a big pizza pocket for some reason in New Haven. I think there's something in the water there that they...
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, it's like...
but they'll have some 7-Tap on draft too, so...
Well, don't worry. I don't drink beer, but I'll be there for the pizza. I'll say, you know what?
Hey, bro, I already been on their ass.
Hey, I'm going to be like, you know what?
I was like, if I don't have more taps than everybody else do,
I'm gonna buy a cup for that guy over there.
Yeah.
But no, with me, it's funny. I told Cheryl the other day. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start making my own butter and making my own mozzarella. She's like, why? I was like, because if you look how much butter is now, like almost $4 for a box.
We use real butter for preps.
Yeah, I like real butter.
I don't use anything else but extra virgin olive oil and butter. That's all we use. And dude, it costs me every single week. We spend $100 on butter and olive oil.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? I said I can get some heavy cream with a low percentage of milk fat, or with a high percentage of milk fat. I said, and I can make my own butter. She's like, we can just buy our own butter.
No, but hey, dude, hey.
But I want to make it's kind of like my baguettes.
Yeah.
I could never find a baguette around here that I liked, so I learned how to make my own.
Fuck it.
Okay. So, and then also I said, I want to make my own butter. I said, but I also want to make my own mozzarella. She's like, why? I said, because fresh mozzarella is like the best thing in the world. If you have fresh mozzarella, and like they have tutorial, how to make it. And usually I'll buy like I like San Marzano. I don't know if it's San Marzano, but I like buffalo mozzarella. I like the white big ball of mozzarella or sliced mozzarella. That's what I use in my paninis. But like when I make my baguettes, you've seen I put some prosciutto, I put some mozzarella. I'm like, man, if I could make my own mozzarella, I would never have to go to the store. I would have to look at the expiration date, you know. And maybe a lot of it is too is because I'm thinking every time I go someplace and I have a meal, okay, it's not as good as I remember it.
Well, you're in the restaurant business now. You're not in the restaurant business, but I'm saying you have a avenue that is you're in the food business a little bit. So like, it's interesting because as you scale, sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes these businesses have to take shortcuts, and it's not because
stay in business.
It's not because they want to, but like you have to meet a margin, and if you don't meet that margin, you can't provide that product anymore. You know, because it starts as a passion, and then it turns into a business.
But see, you're a brewery with a kitchen, not a kitchen with a brewery.
Well, so we took. I think for us, I'm not cheapening our product because everything we do, we do well.
No.
But I think we took the shortcut in the beginning, where it was like, all right, we're gonna do one thing and we're gonna do it the best we possibly can.
And that's the best
thing
you
I mean,
can
like
do.
like for a night, I told y'all, me, Sam, and Colby were sitting there. We tried every fucking smash, every cheese, every pickle, every bread, everything that you could try, and we finally came every sauce mixture that we could think of, every way to cook onions, cooking the patties into the onions. Are we sauteing the onions? What are we doing? Came up with this concept, right? And it's like so, but also to us, where it's like, what's the easiest way we can make it for high volume? And how can we reproduce this a million times over and it still tastes the same?
Yeah.
Well, it's so good. Cheryl and I are going to go eat after this.
Dude, no, it's like it's hands down like great. But I had this conversation. I'm not going to say who it was because he'll be on the podcast here soon. But I had this conversation with a renowned chef after our antics this past weekend, and he was like, "Dude, what y'all are doing is great." He's like, "Did you just like what did you?" You found a niche.
Yeah.
Kind of like y'all did. He was talking about what we're doing with the catering stuff. I was like, yeah, dude, like I'm in barbecue, but I'm a niche barbecue because I'm cooking pulled pork, and motherfucker, if you make better pulled pork than me, let's go. Because I cook 10 to 20 butts every week. Like I figured it out.
Nobody got better pulled pork.
But I'm not saying I make the best brisket in the world, right?
No.
So like I have a few items, and ribs, I love them, but I'm looking at it from a business standpoint. I'm passionate about this, but still, like, ribs take up so much grill space.
Yeah.
And the profit margins are very slim.
Right.
So I'm not making ribs unless I'm competing. I'm not selling ribs. I love ribs, but, like, I'm making the products that I know can scale. I can make a good quality, and I can't fuck it up. And I can keep reproducing. You know what I'm saying?
That's what people don't realize sometimes. And it's like they don't go into it. Like we went in there and like, okay, we opened a burger joint, right? I mean, it's a brewery, but like we had a burger joint inside of it.
Right.
And it's like at the end of the day, people don't realize like, do you think me and Colby and Sam sit around and eat fucking burgers all day?
No.
Like we don't. Like my ideal meal would be something else. That's not scalable. That's not profitable. That's not trainable.
Exactly.
I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't reproduce that a million fucking times over and over and over with the quality and the speed that I'm doing for that burger. And I feel really fucking proud of that burger. I really do. Did you go to a comedy show last night, by the way?
Yes, it was great.
I didn't get to go.
Where were you at?
Well, I was a little under the weather. I'll say that.
Okay. Well, it was a great show.
Yeah.
Great turnout. Colby showed up.
Yeah.
I saw him. He had his apron on, so I know he was working, but he walked over.
Yes.
Taylor hung out with me. Yeah, it was a good show.
So we brought the guys some burgers. The comedians, they fucking loved them. Which, what's wild, though, is like, you know, we were talking about social media and stuff earlier. And they're like, why'd y'all go with the concept of a smash burger? And I think...
Who asked you that? What do you mean?
No, just like I've been asked
just people,
before.
okay,
why'd y'all go with that concept,
right?
Right? And I think one of the things that led to it is like me and Colby and Sam also, like we're huge foodies, right? So I think one of the beauties that people don't realize about this town sometimes is that we're fucking behind on certain things.
Very behind.
Certain things.
This man's well traveled, and so are you.
Yeah.
The next show we do, let's make sure we get some food.
Right.
We've talked about this multiple times.
I'm gonna talk about something right now. The company that I work for now is based out of Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. On the western coast of Florida. Well, they just got hit with 2 hurricanes recently. Okay. Well, they're not far from Tampa. So there was a thing on the TV, and it said for updates, because this is the company I work for. They said, text this to the thing. So I put it on there. The government, the FEMA in that area, I'm getting text because I did it. are so organized. And they're like, we're going to do this on this day. If you need this, go to this address. If you need this, I mean, constantly updating people saying, if you don't have this, contact here. If you need food, if you need water, do this. I ain't seen shit like that anywhere in the state of Louisiana for anything like that.
You're talking about Florida.
Yeah.
Like Florida and Texas are probably two of the like if I'm moving anywhere, it's one of those states.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, yes, this area is so behind, and I don't know why, because we
It's-
have
I don't know.
great
Dude, I can
But
tell
I mean,
you why.
talent.
It's legislature, man.
Yeah,
And it's
but I mean, like, back to my point, I'm talking about just like, I mean, even in general, like with a lot of the businesses that we have, like, this is a very, the East Mac, Hurricane Alley, all this, what we're doing is very fucking big city shit right
Yeah,
here. Like, you know, new growth kind of a thing, right? So, like, for us, I mean, Colby, like you said, we're big foodies, right? Well, we looked at, do you know who Bun B is?
dude, Trill Burger. Yeah,
Trill
bro.
fucking burger,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
And
Bun B.
so you see fucking
UGK.
lines out the door,
Yeah.
right? And we looked at Trill Burger and like, what the fuck? And then there's another one called in Austin that's really fucking popular. It's called Not a Damn Chance. The reason it's called Not a Damn Chance, the dude's like a, not Michelin star. What's the other one? I don't know. Whatever.
Cordon Bleu.
No, whatever
you're
the-
talking about like a.
The other food thing is.
Oh, dude, our chef's not in here.
Yeah,
But
I only know Michelin star.
yeah. He's a
Do you know the story on that?
James Beard.
Yes.
James Beard.
Yeah.
Award.
Oh, James Beard
Yeah,
Award.
yeah.
The dude's like James Beard Award winner or whatever, and he said, "I want to make the best burger possible," and he decided, "I'm going to make a smash burger." And so when he opened his joint, it's called Not a Damn Chance, because if you try to edit anything on that burger, he calls it Not a Damn Chance. He said,
You
"Not
get
he
it
said
the way
Not a
we,
Right.
Damn
the way
Chance."
you get it
You
the way
gotta
we
get
So
it
for us, we saw like their growth, how big they were blowing up, and then me and Colby were like, "Dude, we can make a fucking smash burger, right? Like we could do it with the best of anybody. Let's just sit there and make some shit." We did it, and it was funny because
We're running it
homeboy-
back.
I'm not gonna post this, and Colby was like, "Nah, dude, don't get the dude in trouble." But he said yesterday, he goes, "I might even say that burger's better than Not a Damn Chance," and he's from Austin. So yeah, and I was like,
I thought those guys are great. The kids were here last night, so I didn't hang out afterwards.
Yeah.
The wife come up. She had a long day. I did too. And she's like, and I should have hit you up, dude. I didn't even know what your availability was last night. We had the comedy show, but we didn't know if we were going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, I'm leaving it up to you. Let me know. Basically, I had a podcast here. Me and LA Classics threw down, so we were here.
Nice, hell yeah.
And I told my wife, if I see you show up during the podcast, I know that you want to do that afterwards.
Right.
So I had no idea if we were going to do it, and she showed up. And so right after we walked down and went to the show, and the kids just hung out here and watched some TV.
Yeah.
And it was a phenomenal show, best show. Shout out to Don't Take This Serious Comedy.
"They're doing it, dude."
Best show they've had.
Yeah.
Had a couple local people bring them in, and then we had 3 Kill Tony golden ticket winners
Right,
here,
I saw that
here last
yeah.
night.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's big.
And they were great guys. I met them in passing, said what's up, talked a little bit. Taylor was fanboying like a motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, 'cause he
you
loves
gotta
that shit, dude.
give him some shit about it. He was fanboying.
No,
so
he always
hard.
does that.
Dude, he was fanboying so
No,
hard.
Colby was too. They
Yeah,
both came
yeah.
over, and then I think they all like they followed us on Instagram and shared us. They're like, "Thanks for
Yeah.
feeding me." And
Yeah.
shit
That's
like
awesome.
that.
Dude, I gave him a shout out earlier and tagged them, but like they they threw down. It was a great show. And yeah, dude, I'm
dude,
just
I wish I could've
excited.
gone, dude.
We've been talking about. Joel and I were talking about it, and I finally got the introduction, and glad I've had them on the show,
Right, yeah.
And I'm glad we got them here,
Yeah.
to where we have some room to expand. You know what I'm saying,
right.
and get people here. But not only when you bring someone like that, where else in this area do you have to showcase?
You don't.
So if you're going to bring
You
someone
don't.
from another area
Yeah.
that has talent,
Yeah.
like you want to bring them here first.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of other little hidden gems around here, but you want to bring them here first and
Right.
say,
right.
look,
No, you got to have it here.
boom, when
Yeah.
you land right here, and then by the way, there's XYZ
Right,
places
right.
to visit.
No, that was
Well-
cool. I thought that was awesome that they brought him here. And props to them, dude. And, I worked with them a long time ago, and we even had talks about doing something here, but shit just got, like, for us, it was just, I even talked to Chris about it. I was like, dude, it's just like right now, I can't figure out time when I need to do something, how I need to do something,
Yeah.
'cause, shit, I think we were like, other than like legit comedy places, like
You
at
were the only
Linwood,
spot.
We were the first.
We
spot
went
to, like,
the
bring
first.
them-
We
yeah.
went to that big
Yeah,
show.
we went
You
to
and
that
I
show,
were there.
yeah,
It
we
was
went
me,
to that
you, and
first
my
show.
wife. And
Yeah.
it was hilarious.
Yeah,
They
it was
started
great,
hating
yeah.
on, talking shit.
Some guys were very raw. Some guys were very raw.
Yeah.
But that's okay because everybody starts out somewhere.
Well, it's comedy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a comedy show, that's what's interesting about here is like I remember that show and I remember how people were being weird because people had never experienced live comedy.
And that's
like
the thing,
when you
dude.
show up to comedy, you gotta be willing to.
You gotta be
Open to
participant.
everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And you're gonna
Yes.
hear some shit that like you have to be willing to be like, look,
You gotta be
that's,
uncomfortable about
that's
it.
a joke. That's a joke, right? I mean, obviously there's certain lines you don't cross, but with a lot of things, it's like, dude, it's a, like.
So you know who I've been listening to a lot of lately?
What?
Theo Vaughn.
I love
he's
Theo.
great.
And I
dude.
remember you telling me about like
He's
the
great.
first time that you went to a comedy club or first comic you saw that you were like, this is fucking awesome was Theo Vaughn.
Were you? Did you not? Were you at Theo?
I went to Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn with us. I was
But
like, you were there.
I've been listening to
But you've been
him.
listening to as like a podcast.
Yeah, like podcast stuff like that.
That's
lately.
what I tell everyone. Like people ask me about podcasts. What do you listen to?
Big Daddy. You like
I listen
Big
to
Daddy.
I listen to Rogan because I learn more from conversation.
Yeah.
Like the communication and conversation. That's I intake that information. If you have one party talking to another party, and you can tell that one party doesn't know what that other party's talking about, and they
Yeah.
actually legit are interested.
Yeah.
I intake that information like the party listening.
Right.
Whereas it is also fun to just listen to Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
He had Trump on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shit was hilarious.
Yeah, it was great.
Fucking
It was hilarious.
dude.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Great.
And dude, it just you know, like this is what I love about Theo. You don't know if he's fucking bullshitting you or not.
I'm not, dude.
You
know,
never
right?
know.
I know.
because he's probably telling the truth all the fucking time. But you could probably
And even in that
you can also tell that he's fluffing it a little bit. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I don't think you're bullshitting me.
Yeah, and even in
who
that
else I
Trump
like?
interview, you could be like he was like, because that he had the balls to make some of the jokes, and like you could even tell like Trump at certain points was like he rolled with it like great, but he was at some points you could tell he was like, is this guy fucking for
Yeah,
real?
and honestly, if the two of them weren't on the screen at the same time, I would have thought it was
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it was.
I
that
didn't
good.
watch it. I just listened, but I
But,
can only imagine.
You know, and you know what else I
actually
like?
watching it.
I've been listening to a lot of Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis is
great.
fucking phenomenal.
Have you seen Tires?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh,
Shane
I
Gillis
haven't
is
watched it
Trump,
yet.
dude, is fucking.
Oh,
gold,
you know what?
dude.
He's good as
Dude,
Trump.
what about Dr. Phil? What's his name? Dr. Phil.
Yeah,
Dude,
Dr.
oh my
Phil.
god,
Yeah.
dude, that shit's great too.
But just, I mean, I like. It's so funny because like with music, you know, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
You know, you listen to a certain type of music, and then you listen to another type of music, and you go back to that type of music. With me, with comedy, it's the same kind of thing. Like I'll listen to a comedian for a long time, and then I'll switch to another comedian, and I'll switch to another comedian and go back to this one, and a lot of it is because like Nate Bargatze.
Yeah,
He's really
Bargatze,
good
yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
very dry. He's very,
Yeah.
I like his comedy. You know that time. So when I listen to comedians and I listen to Nate and I listen to Theo and then I listen to Shane, it's almost like music. At least for me, certain songs, I like a certain bridge. I like a certain chorus. I like a certain refrain.
Yeah.
Comedians are the same thing. I'll watch a comedian, like I'll watch Tom Segura. The last 15 minutes of Sledgehammer, my favorite. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. If you listen to Sledgehammer
Yeah.
or that thing, you listen to the last 15 minutes of it. I love listening to it. So certain parts of comedians, certain parts of their performances, certain part of things are like music to me. So I'll go back and listen to, like when Shane Gillis talks about when he went to visit George Washington's house.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Dude,
Okay.
It's what's so untapped is these guys are intelligent.
Yeah.
Like comedy, everyone always thinks it's a disturbed individual.
Comedy takes
but you have
so
to
much.
you have to realize like these guys are taking in. Who I love, who is timeless, is two people are probably I would say were my favorite comics. Ron White and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Eddie.
You can still listen to Raw Delirious and laugh your fucking ass off. Yeah, there's some timestamps there where you're like, if you're not old enough, you don't understand the reference. And
Yeah, or you
I
feel
didn't-
offended by
I
it.
didn't,
It's
but
like,
like, no, I never. I mean, I ain't offended by anything. But like, that motherfucker, dude, like pushed the envelope, like, because you had Richard Pryor, who was pushing the envelope and who influenced him.
Yeah.
But Eddie bridged the gap, you know, from comedy to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I mean, who else did? Like, who else bridged that gap? He did. Like, he went from comedy to superstar. Like, I can't even think who else did that. Like, as a comedian. And it's interesting now because his new movies aren't like what it was. Like I watched the Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Like that was cool.
It's very produced.
Like,
It's overproduced.
I get it, man.
Yeah.
You're old. You're comfortable. You don't need to push the envelope anymore.
Yeah.
You're just
Like,
sitting back making money.
that is crazy how like shit goes backwards too. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when Kevin Hart first came on the scene.
Oh,
and,
dude,
and I
holy-
saw him on. I think Shaq hosted this like fucking comedy special at like an All-Star game.
I remember that.
It was like Kevin Hart, who's like new. It was like Arius Spears, the guy from Mad TV who does like all the crazy imitations and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this guy's fucking hilarious,
Yeah.
dude. And remember when Kevin Hart first burst on the scene?
Dude, he was. I remember seeing him here at the Strand.
Yeah, dude.
And it was like when he was new.
Yeah.
And dude, it was so fucking. And dude, it was like him and Cat Williams at the same time. Just blew the fuck
dude.
up.
They were fucking hilarious, and now it's just like, all right,
You know what's
Kevin Hart
funny about
makes
Kevin
30
Hart is he
fucking
has
shitty
more
movies.
white followers than he does
Yeah.
like black followers. It's funny. Like I remember being at the theater, I was there,
Yeah.
and you look and everywhere it's like
Well, what's
white
crazy
people.
is Chris Rock came here a long time ago too.
Really?
Yeah, Chris Rock was here.
Really?
Before he blew up with Bigger and Blacker, he came here.
No shit.
And it's funny because my brother-in-law went to the show, and I didn't really know Chris Rock. I mean, I kind of knew who Chris Rock was, but he told me, he goes, the best joke was, he said, in Shreveport, Louisiana, there's nothing else to do, so you're here.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, there's nothing else to do here, so that's why you're here.
Kind of
So-
like when Theo was like, Shreveport just looks like it went out of business. and I was like, bruh.
Dude.
But like, people don't recognize the talent that these guys have, right? Because it's like, you can make a joke. Like, people make jokes all fucking day. Like, I guarantee you, like, if we sat there, we could probably make some funny jokes. But it's also like the crowd work that they have to
You
have.
have
right?
to-
Like, when that pause hits, when this punchline is
Yeah.
going to drop.
Yeah. And then every
how I'm going to build this thing up.
and every single room is a different.
Right.
It's choreographed.
You have to feel it out.
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to feel it. So I'm gonna drop a little fairy dust right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see how they react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop this, and then that lets me know what set I'm gonna use
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I gotta have 3 or 4 sets loaded up.
It's
if
kind
I'm,
of like our BNI meetings.
Yeah.
It's like I knew where I could drop a joke
yeah,
and I'd get a laugh.
yeah,
I
because
would
you
drop
already
it.
knew the room.
Yeah, I knew the room.
You got
I'm
another room.
gonna drop it here. I'm gonna get a laugh. I'm gonna say a little something here because we're gonna lighten
That's
the mood.
why they still do open mics because they need to drop something they know it hits in every fucking room. You know, and that's the art.
Yeah.
Because how many shits, like, it may hit in your room because everybody knows you,
Yeah.
but go drop it in a room and nobody knows you.
Yeah.
And if it hits there, motherfucker, you got gold.
But if you're the kind of kid who you did a drawing and you needed everybody to tell you it was great, and if they didn't, you were sad. You don't need to be a comedian,
Right.
No.
Because you have to be able to go, I think this is funny, and if somebody says it's not funny, okay, how can I make somebody else see it the way I see it
Yeah.
and think it's funny?
Yeah.
And that's where like somebody like a John Mulaney is a storyteller.
Yeah.
He tells story, and to me the favorite my favorite kind of comedian, and again, I like Anthony Jeselnik because he
Yeah.
says something and he goes and then he goes the other way and you find it funny. And I like somebody like John Mulaney who tells a story and you go, that is a fucking funny story because he made his situation funny. And honestly, day to day, all of us have a funny story. We
Right,
have
right.
something that happened
yeah.
to us that's
But
funny.
being able to-
Can we
Being able to emulate that.
make it a story?
Yeah.
But then let everyone receive it.
Yeah.
Okay.
One where
I'm a-
you're
I'm
not
a-
too offended. You know what I mean? Like
You're bending the truth a little
Right.
bit.
You know what? There is a joke that I tell. I can't do it on
Come
the
on,
show.
dude. Why
No,
not?
I can't
Why
do
not?
it because I can't do it because I'll tell you when we go off the air. But
Okay.
when I was like auditioning to be an MC for a comedy club that was down there,
Yeah.
a long time ago, I told this joke and it killed. Okay, but it's not family friendly.
Well, this show's
No,
not
no,
family.
I know it's not. I know it's not. But I don't want it to be on the internet forever. and my grandchildren to go back and listen to it. So I'll tell you when we're all done. But a lot of it is being able to take a situation, finding the humor in it, and making people relate. To go, oh shit, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think Diaz did.
Joey.
Joe
No,
Diaz.
no. Joe Diaz is great, but last night.
Oh yeah, Diaz.
Oh,
yeah.
that Diaz. He's French.
Yeah.
I believe he's French.
Spanish maybe.
Spanish. That's
Something.
Spanish.
Yeah.
He's back.
He's back.
Fact check our headliners last night from it would be the show at the Chef's Table. If you would pull it up on Facebook, fact check it for me. He is Spanish. You're correct. Sorry, I said French. But I saw Mike Epps here, dude. I don't think we've talked about this before, but like I was the only white motherfucker in there, but it was hilarious.
Yeah. Right.
But I started getting uncomfortable, and
Where
like
was
so
it
I
at?
knew Municipal.
Okay.
And it was sold out. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago. I don't know.
It's
Something
pretty
like that.
damn funny too.
And dude, I always loved him. I've always loved him since Day. Since I saw Next Friday, I've been a Mike Epps fan forever. Yeah.
Why didn't y'all do something when she was cutting my car? I love it.
Dude, the fucking the Twinkie scene or whatever. He's like, this bitch know about all the snacks for these. Yeah.
2000 snack.
Yeah. That bitch be snoring, don't even be asleep.
The bitch sell drugs, do hair, and babysit on the house.
It's gonna be on Facebook.
I can't get on Facebook.
You know what? Here's
okay.
funny. My son, he was. I showed him that movie when he was in high
I'm
school.
gonna look this
right?
up. You'll tell me.
When he was in high school, right? He was on the bus one day, and he said something about. He said something, he was in class one day, and he goes, "Yeah, she liked Baby D." And this black girl goes, "Oh, white boy know who Baby D is," and he got cred because he knew who Baby D was.
Oh, Baby D, yeah, was Baby D. So Rick Diaz is Rick Diaz, but yeah, he is Spanish. You're right. So the lineup was Dustin Vance, which he's a local guy. Then you have Rick Diaz. Then you have Drew Nickens, and then you have Heath Cortez, which Heath is the one who. He's a little fella.
Yeah.
Dude, they were all hilarious.
Dude, he was repping that 7 Tap shirt too.
Dude, I saw that. But fucking Drew Nickens dropped by. You know, Drew Nickens is fucking, he's the crazy motherfucker that looks like Marv off of Home Alone.
Oh,
you on Kill Tony, have you seen him?
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
brain damage. And he jokes about it like,
wow.
dude, he dropped, you didn't know that? They didn't tell you? Dude, he fucking dropped in.
No, I knew he
last
dropped
night.
in. I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was like legit.
Oh, yeah. Legit brain damage, yeah.
He's making grilled cheese at night. Is that
No,
what?
that motherfucker is wild.
Okay, and let's talk
bro.
about your shirt. I love your shirt.
Oh, Perkins Power, bro.
Perkins Power. That was
Heavyweights.
a great movie. I don't even
Fucking
know
awesome,
if
dude.
they could. I've been meaning to show at the stage.
Josh and I, like, it's
Was
interesting
it
here.
called Fat Camp?
No, it's called Heavyweights.
Heavyweights,
yeah.
So,
It was like
but
a
they called it
Fat
Fat
Camp.
Camp.
Great
yeah.
movie though.
But Josh and I, we'll sit here and we'll like hit those like fucking 90s, 2000s nostalgic shit, and we'll look shit up. And I was like, I don't even know how I got on the subject, but I said something. I was like, I'm getting that fucking T-shirt. So I got me one. I got him one.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And it's so funny because he portrays the same character in Dodgeball, damn near.
Yeah.
It's Tony Perkins, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then the what's the name? What's his character's name in Dodgeball?
Oh, it's
Dwight,
Dwight. It's where he's grabbing the bull on the
Yeah.
fucking painting and
Dwight,
shit. But yeah, anyways, yeah, dude, it's the same character. It's so funny.
Yeah.
White Goodman.
White Goodman.
White Goodman, yeah.
But yeah, dude, this shirt, yeah, dude,
Where'd
we
you
were
get
talking
that?
about. I'll have to send you a link. I'm not gonna say. I don't
Okay.
want everybody to know my
that's fine.
sources
Okay,
of
go,
my.
go. I'm gonna have to wear a different shirt next time I come.
You know what I'm saying?
I got my
You got your.
I got my
Epcot, bring that up.
I got my Epcot Wine and Food Festival.
Well, I
shirt.
saw that. I'm like, dude, this is like. I feel like one, you earned your colors in being a judge for anything we ever put on because you definitely have the most diverse palette of any person here that I know in this area.
Can I say something about the last?
Please, yes,
thing?
please.
I only liked one steak.
Oh, that's fine. We talked about it. I think a little bit.
I only
yeah.
liked one.
Where'd you land?
I don't know, dude. I think my issue that I've had with both of these, and I need to get better at, is that I'm very subjective to what I like, you know, and I need to like diversify a little bit.
Because being a judge, you got to be different.
Yeah, because I did like some, and some I was like honestly, like for me, like, and I'm just gonna say, like, I'm not accustomed to that scene, right? So like, I don't ever think of marinating a steak. That's just my personal preference, right? Like, I'm a salt, pepper, garlic butter kind of guy, right? Crazy sear on my shit.
Yeah.
You know.
And see, with me, one of my biggest problems was when I make a steak, I let it rest.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if the steak had to be a certain temperature, if I were competing, and I was thinking to myself, if I was competing, and I don't know if this is being from the future competitors, medium does not have to be raw.
Correct.
Medium is a temperature.
Yeah.
Okay. When I make my wife a steak, I make her a fillet that's about this thick, about this wide, and it's always well done, but it's always tender.
Right.
Because I make it a certain specific way. So if I knew I had to turn in my steak at a certain time, I would cook it and rest it.
Yeah.
And when I knew that temperature was that's when I would turn it in.
Right.
because that's when I knew it would be the
Right.
most flavorful, not the most pink, not
Right.
the most thing.
We're looking at temp.
We're looking at temp, right?
Yeah.
And I like some crisp and some char on my steak.
Right.
And so the one that won, the steak was the one that I said, yeah, that was great, because I was like, I love steak, but I don't love what they're doing with the steak. And maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe it's because it's a backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it was like, I was happy that the one that I liked the most is the one that won.
Yeah.
Because I felt that was the best flavor. And I may compete in a future
should.
event
You should.
because I have a certain way that
I want
like,
you to.
that I like my steak.
But now you know how it's judged, and I think
honestly, like from my perspective, I love that aspect of it where I was like, dude, because it takes art, right? Because you're cooking a steak,
Yeah.
and obviously anybody that cooks a steak, you know that like some of the art in it is the rest. You have to have that rest,
Yeah.
right? For those juices and everything like that. So I'm like, dude, that's cool that they have to. So they have to perfectly time their rest time too.
this is what that's what you need to think about. But I think most of these guys are inexperienced.
Yeah.
And there's a couple that may have been experienced,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
probably why they prevailed. But you have to realize it's just like barbecue.
Yeah.
Like if you're cooking to, if I'm doing it, I'm cooking to like 132.
Yep.
And I'm pulling it and I'm going to let it rest for about 15 minutes before I turn it in.
Yep.
Then it's going to be about 142
Yep.
when you temp it.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be right where I want it.
Yeah.
But some people are rushing like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And they'll get it right to that temp or right close to it. They'll go like 138.
Yeah,
And
that
then by the
shit's
time it
gonna
gets to
rise,
me,
dude, yeah.
it's 147.
Yeah, and the fucking juices are
And it's
gone.
just a matter of but what I think it does great for any cook. And I think
Yeah.
look, I suggest anyone compete.
Yeah.
Like in anything. If you think you have a great steak, you should go compete.
Yeah.
Not because and you shouldn't walk in and say, well, fuck everybody, like, because that happens. Like,
Yeah.
fuck them, my steak's the best. No, I think you should compete, and I think you should bring all of your fans with you
Yep.
to participate
Exactly.
and let them try other people's stuff, and then you see how you learn. Man, you learn. You say like,
the people are always right, dude. That's what I've always thought.
yeah,
too.
you're not gonna like.
And-
It's very, very like, I haven't seen it yet, and we put on quite a few.
Yeah.
That the People's Choice and the winner
It doesn't-
aren't fall apart.
Yeah. I mean, like we just competed in GABF, which is the biggest beer
Yeah.
beer competition in the world, right? And I'll say this, like, I think we sent like 2 or 3 beers. One of them actually made it into like the final judging. We didn't
Yeah.
place, but it made it into the final judging. But the other 2 got knocked out in the fucking first round, right? And it's just one of those things where it's so subjective too, because even some of the notes we got, it's like, I don't completely agree with that.
Right.
And you know, obviously it's like, okay, this is I sell so much of this fucking beer, you can't tell me
It's like
that,
judging
you know?
your child. It's like judging your child,
Right,
right?
right. It's
Yeah.
just like, dude, you know how much of this beer I fucking sell, so
Yeah.
like I don't need an award. But you know, but it's cool to see what, like, because they give you like the notes.
Well, you're
and
setting
feedback
standards.
back.
You're
Yeah.
setting standards. And what I like about the competition is it holds you accountable to these variants. I'm putting you in a box.
Right.
Yes, you can do all kind of wild shit, and you may have amazing steak. But if I put you in I want that next. If I put you in a box, how do you
Right.
compete?
Yeah.
And the box is flavor, tenderness, temperature,
Yeah.
and then appearance.
Right.
So you might have the best steak in the world, but it might look like shit.
Dude, yeah, I had one. I think it was vice versa. I had one that like either tasted great, but the appearance.
There was one that
off.
had a lot of black
Yeah.
on it, because I could tell he had smoked and his grill was a little dirty. It tasted amazing though.
Yeah, there was one that had some dirty smoke
Yep,
on it
yep,
though too.
yep,
You know, and I was
yep.
like, dude.
Yeah.
you-
Yeah, no, there was one that I ate. I was like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah, there was one.
But see, that's kind of one of those things. Like, for example, if you were to go anywhere and you drink a beer, you'd go, I make a better beer.
Yeah.
Me, I go somewhere, I eat a steak, I go, I can make a better steak.
Yeah.
I go somewhere, I eat something, I go, I can make it better this, or I can make it
Right,
better that.
right.
So, you know, for me, it's and so I love that DJ asks us to judge these things, but for me, it's also kind of like,
Yeah, I
you guys
just
are professionals?
I want to get better at me judging by parameters and not what I like.
Yeah.
Because even
But, okay.
because even with like the barbecue thing.
But here's the thing: if it was just judging by parameters, they could get anybody to do it, right?
That's true. But even like by the barbecue thing, like I consider myself like well versed and knowledgeable on barbecue, right? Like I know barbecue, like I know what good barbecue is. But there's no secret, I have a soft spot for Texas barbecue. Right. So when people were serving this brisket and I saw that fucking peppery crust on there, I'm like, it's a Texas style brisket right here. Like this is that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You know, so it's hard to not be like
subjective.
This is that brisket,
right,
you know?
Right.
As opposed to like we got some that were like sauced and you could tell did other things and all this other stuff, and it's like I want to get better at like, no, I'm judging by the parameters and not by what I personally
right. And see that's kind of my thing is like I don't mind judging based on like a car show. I don't mind judging based on these things, but also a lot of the judge's personal opinion, the judge's personal input, their background should play a large role in it. Because if you have, and I was telling him, if all you judging on is parameters, then you can have anybody judge. You can have anybody go, yeah, it's this and that.
Right.
But what you're really looking for is you're really looking for that guy who goes, or that guy or gal or whoever who says, this is good because of this, or this is bad because they didn't da 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 da.
Right.
So, it's kind of like grading. I saw a thing today. It said if Tom it takes Tom 10 minutes to cut a board into 2 pieces. How long does it take him to cut a board into 3 pieces? The kid wrote 20.
It should be 15, right?
See, that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did it take him to make 1 cut? 10 minutes.
Right.
So how long should it take him to make 2 cuts?
I guess 10 minutes.
20 minutes.
Right.
20 minutes, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. An additional 10 minutes.
Right, an additional 10 minutes. But the problem is that this math problem was based on mathematical equation versus logic. So are you looking at logic or are you looking at mathematics? Because if you look at mathematics and say it took him 10 minutes to cut 1 piece, which is X plus whatever. And so if they're going to cut 2 pieces, it should be 15 because X plus equals 15.
Right, but logically, it could take him 30 minutes.
But
if
logically, if you say, I've got 1 piece of wood, I cut it into 2 pieces. It took me 10 minutes to cut this log into 2 pieces.
Right.
If I have 1 log and I cut it into 3 pieces, I take 1 cut, 2 cut, that's 20 minutes.
Right.
Right? However, the kid got wrong because it said, no, it's 15 minutes. Because if you take 1 plus 15, X plus... Exactly. Because mathematically, it should take 15 minutes.
Correct.
However, logically, and it was so funny because I delved deep into this thread, and people were talking from a mathematics standpoint.
Well, if they want to go from a lumber standpoint, I grew up in a sawmill, so I'll go ahead and tell you, there's no way to really tell you how long it would take you because that board may have a knot over here, and this one may not.
And you're speaking logically, right?
That's logical.
Well, and some people are going, no, it's mathematically. You have to look at this, and you can't look at logic. Yeah. Okay, then you need to word it differently. Right. If you're going to ask me this question, you need to ask it to me in a way that you're going to give me. But don't tell me I can cut a board into 2 pieces in 10 minutes. Right. So if I was going to cut it into 3 pieces, it's 20 minutes. Not 15.
That's why it's important when we do this judging that we give you pretense and say, these are what we're looking for. Yeah. And we're looking for these things because on a wide standpoint, no matter who we bring to these tables, we're probably all going to come to the same conclusion.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's important in the metrics. And I think it's all these different organizations and sanctioning bodies get to this. They get to the thing where they're like, well, it's got to have this and it's got to have that. And then you lose what it's about. It's about, does it taste good? Does it look good?
But do you think sanctioning bodies are a lot like movie critics?
Yeah.
Because I've heard people say movie is shit. And I watch it and go, that's the best fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't look at Rotten Tomatoes ever. Like, they're talking shit about Joker. I hadn't watched it yet. I hear it's horrible.
I
haven't
watched
watched
it.
Right, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I watched the new Beetlejuice. It was fucking great. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
It was fucking great if you watch it.
You seen Alien? The new one?
I haven't yet, but as soon as it goes to streaming, I'm watching. You have?
No, when it goes to streaming, I cannot watch a movie in the theaters anymore because I'm sick of everybody texting. I'm sick of people. Very rarely do I go to a movie theater to see a movie.
Yeah.
Only if it's like I have to see it in the theater, like the new Blue Angels thing on Amazon. If I could have seen it in the theater, I would have, but I couldn't. Like And you know what? That's one of the lost episodes. We talked about the painting I did in Houghton.
Yeah, on the side of the building.
With the Blue Angels, yeah.
And are you going to start doing that now that you've kind of got a different mind?
You know what I thought about to myself? Because here's the deal. I was going to go get another part-time job. Because I was going to go to the Brookshires Arena and their part-time people because I love music. I love live things. I love the technicality of setting up. I was a drum tech for years. I know how to set up an arena. So I was like, I kind of want to do that. It'd be fun. However, per hour, I can make more money painting than I can doing that. So I'm like, you know what, Ben? So I made a deal with myself. I'm like, look, you finish these paintings you've got on your palette that you've got in your studio right now. You finish them, get them out the door, get paid for them, and then you can think about doing something else on the side.
Let me ask you something, and this is completely out of the box, but I just had an amazing idea that may be cool. Would you be interested in doing like a live painting with rock music in the background while you play the canvas out, or is your process longer than that?
My process is much longer.
Okay,
it's because my process is kind of like him.
Because I'm thinking like Metallica with like a 5x7 canvas. What can we do?
No, give me 16 by 20. I would have a lot of fun. However, I like photorealism. My paintings look like photographs.
Right.
So, and that was kind of like a big thing for me because a while back I did a thing for the Ferrari Club of America in Dallas. I did a painting for their I think it was like the 40th anniversary of the V8. And I did the background of Dallas. I did the Dallas skyline. I did a 458 Speciale, and the painting was called Molto Speciale. And in the painting, I put all these little like Easter eggs. Like I put initials. I put Cheryl's initials, Sage's initials. I put the date that the first Ferrari was made. I put the date that the last Ferrari was made. I put initials of the board members. I put Boardwalk Ferrari. I put their logo on the tire. It looked like, there's actually the brand of the tire.
Kyle does that shit with our art.
Yeah. And so I spent about 100 hours on this painting, okay? It made about $11,000 in the auction. Okay? And here's what's funny. I spent all that time on that. Well, there was a guy that they had come in, and he was some kind of special artist. He had paint all over him.
Yeah.
And he had a black canvas, and I noticed he had some design. He had things chalked out, so I knew what was going on.
Right.
But he basically splashed paint, did this, paint all that stuff. Went for $20,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck am I doing spending 100 plus hours on a painting when somebody can come in, and I'm sure he charged them to do that.
Right.
I donated the painting.
But you're not doing it for a business.
No, I'm not doing it for. But it makes you think. Okay, let's go this. You do something, and then you donate it, and you get a certain amount of money, and then somebody else comes up and does the exact same thing you did, but faster, and not nearly as, I would say, professional.
Yeah.
And makes.
Let me.
And they make twice as much.
I'll bring it all the way back to food. It's subjective.
Yep.
Okay, and so to me, I'm like, wait a minute.
Football.
Next year, I need to just do a painting live.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't charge him anything. I know this guy charged him a percentage.
Right.
And he did 2 of them for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could do that. I could do 10 of those all day.
Well,
however, that's not why I started painting.
We didn't even talk about this beautiful painting. I don't even think we talked about it on the last episode. Did we? Did I mention it?
I have no idea. If
you listen back. I don't ever listen back because my brain would be mush. But he did this painting in this office.
The graffiti.
Yeah, and shout out to Kyle. Kyle designed it, and I was like, I want to put it on the wall, and who better to do it than you?
Right.
And I think we might have talked about you doing it, but it's done now, and it looks fucking beautiful. And thank you. I've never give you a credit. I gave you some accreditation on social media, but like right here, thank you so much.
And I was honored to do it because I love you and you're my friend. And I'm like, yes, if I could put it up there and
you wouldn't let me fucking pay him for it.
And it's like,
you son of a bitch.
What's funny is like, I'm not thinking that like you need to charge for what you do because that's what you do for a thing. This is something I do out of creativity.
I feel like there's a whole wall that's a blank canvas that somebody needs to put some design on. That someone has a building that we could use for that. I'm just dropping a little. I'm just saying.
Well, it's kind of like that. The painting I did for Barksdale. I did a 4 foot by 5 foot painting called "Thank You Barksdale," and it's a B-52 taken off, and It's taken off from Barksdale, and on the bottom I've got all the 4 squadrons painted on it, and I gifted it to Barksdale Air Force Base. It's hanging in the 8th Air Force in the base ops building. It's called Thank You Barksdale because I, growing up as a military child, know how much impact a military installation has on a community.
Yeah.
Okay. And when 9/11 happened, and they had to go to Afghanistan, they had to go, to overseas. B-52s were there. They were the ones doing it. And I said, you know what? Thank you, Barksdale. And I gave it to them. And it's probably like maybe, if I were to charge, it'd be like $15,000 painting. Okay. But I didn't do it because I wanted money. I did it because I wanted to express my creativity. And like my grandsons, okay, they did a handprint. They did handprints and footprints on little canvases my daughter gave me. And so I went and I made Pokemon characters out of the handprints and out of the footprints for Halloween. And I made, what did I make, Cheryl? She don't remember. Okay, I made like 2 Pokemon characters, and I asked my daughter, I said, all I want is you to just take a picture with them. That's all. And when my grandson had Dr. Seuss Day for his school, I airbrushed his T-shirt. My daughter didn't go to Etsy and
get all that
I
bullshit.
airbrushed it.
Hell yeah.
I airbrushed a Grinch one for him. I airbrushed a Mr. Brown Sees a Cow.
Dude, I fucking love that.
I did all that for him because it's like cooking. You cook for somebody. You cook because you love somebody. I paint because I love somebody. But when my grandson was born, I stopped painting because he was kind of my focus. I know I can paint. I know I can do it. I'm not like, I don't think people like my work. I know people like my work because people have bought my work. But when I got to that point of changing careers or changing things, I said, okay, let me put this into chapters. Let me compartmentalize this. Let's say I only do this for another 5 years. Let's say I have this income guaranteed for another 5 years. Can I do something in this 5 years to make sure that if the next 5 years don't happen, it's fine?
Yeah.
That's where I had to think because I'm getting older. I can't restart. I can't push reset anymore. So I think to myself, let me in the next, because I started painting when Sage was 2 years old. Okay. But I painted on and off and painted on and off, painted on and off. I never built that thing. But one of the last paintings I did it on a weekend. And it was great. And I'm like, I can do this. This is something I can do. So going forward, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm not going to get another part-time job. I'm going to spend my time focusing on this because I can be 90 years old. Nobody knows I'm 90 years old. If they look at the painting and go, oh my God, I feel that it resonates with me. I want to hang that on my wall. My age, my race, nothing matters. Only thing that matters is they look at the painting and go, I want that.
That's timeless, dude.
That's timeless. Exactly.
Well,
that's what I have to look at.
We got Jose where we need him to be. We're getting you where we need you to be. You're going to do it. We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there full time, bro.
We're going to hang a painting up right here.
I'll hang all your shit everywhere. I don't give a fuck what it is. Look, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put you to doing that, man. No, I love it. I think there's a huge empty canvas out there you need to fill up.
We've talked about that one a lot.
Exactly.
So I'll talk to my landlords.
Hey,
I'm sure they're down.
paying enough rent.
Well, and that's the thing is, I don't do it. It's like you want to do it. I'm like, honestly, I don't because I don't need the money. I don't want the money. I don't want. But I like.
What better of a side hustle than a passion?
Well, I remember when I was in Hawaii. When I was a junior in Hawaii, and I was part of this program called VICA. It was called Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. Okay, it's kind of like DECA.
Like DECA. Yeah,
like DECA. It was a VICA.
That was a reason for us to get out of school early.
And I was in the VICA program, and I was the parliamentarian. So I kind of like understood the thing. Well, I went to the Skills Olympic in the state of Hawaii. Okay, and I went to job interview. Interview is what I was going to do. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Well, I sat in a room with probably 9 other guys. I looked at every single one of them. I go, I can win this. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this. So I went to the interview, and I was interviewing for architect, okay? And the guys that were interviewing were from IBM. They were all from IBM. And I was probably 17 years old. And I was talking about them. I said, I want to be an architect because I want to one day drive by a building with my child and go, you see that? Your dad designed that.
Yeah.
You see that? Your grandfather designed that. And then at the end of the meeting, they said, do you have any questions for us? I said, yeah. I said, what is it like working for IBM? I asked them questions. I engaged them to give me. And you know what? I won. I won the gold medal for the state of Hawaii. The first time I won the gold, and I ended up going to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the nationals, and there was 8 of us from Hawaii, and we were like a unicorn, okay? Because when you went there, everybody had pins that you traded, kind of like the Olympics. You traded pins, right? Yeah. So you'd get on a bus from your hotel and you'd go to the facility and they'd go, okay, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Idaho. I'm from Iowa. Hawaii. Boom. People would come to us, go, I got this pin. And so we had like 10 pins and we're like, okay, I'm going to trade these pins. I still have those pins. I have those pins framed along with my medals. I won three medals, by the way, from the state of Hawaii. I won a gold medal, silver medal, and a state medal. Hawaii honored me with a state medal. I have them all framed up in my studio, and my grandson goes, Pop, what is that? And I told him, that is, I have one from Russia, because there was a delegation from Russia that came. But when you had the most unique thing in the world, you could say, I want 5 of those pins for this one pin. Mm-hmm. So I have them all framed in my studio. And every time my grandson comes in, he goes, what's that? It's like, that's a gold medal, that's a silver medal, and that's a medal from the state of Hawaii. And so I said, and you can have it. When I'm gone, you can have it, because I framed it all for him. But realizing that you can do something that you can, when you walk in a room and you go, you know what? I want to win this thing. Not because I'm better than them, right, but because I know I can win, because I want to win. And none of these guys, none of them really look like their competition to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to win this thing, and I won.
Let me ask you this, because you're talking about the conversation that you have with like your grandson, and obviously you're far more experienced than me and DJ when it comes to parenting and stuff like that. So I've always had to like, how has your experience been with like your kids? And I mean, obviously we're not the grandkids age, but like recognizing the importance of like what you've done, what it means to you, and why it should be like important to them. Because this is something like I've struggled with.
Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did that. When I was managing the golf properties, I brought Sage with me during the summertime. I enrolled him in the summer golf program with the pro, and he would come to my after he finished. He came to my office. He's like, Dad, I'm done. I'm like, okay, let's take a ride. I jump in the golf cart. We'd take a ride around the golf course. I showed him what I did. I showed him why I had passion for what I did. And to this day, he remembers. He's like, yeah, Dad, how did you go from being the member coordinator to being the general manager of 2 properties?
Yeah.
And I explained it to him. He goes, I remember driving around the golf course. I remember you taking me and doing this. I showed him why I had passion for what I did.
I think that's I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah. I think it's a very good point, because instinctively you work so fucking hard.
Yeah.
And when it comes time to say, do they appreciate it or not? Well, if they weren't there the entire time feeling that same emotion you have, that you feel,
yeah,
and those ups and those downs, then they can't appreciate it when you do hand it over. Right. You know what I mean?
But see, and then on the other end, like my mother-in-law and father-in-law built their business so that their children could run it. And they did, okay? Yeah. But my wife and I were like, you guys are going to have nothing to do with this. We'll help you get started. We'll show you how business works. We'll help you do a labor-intensive job, but you're not going to stay here. This is not where you're going to stay. Right. So Lindsay came and helped. She became a registered nurse. You know Lindsay?
Yeah.
You know her all the time. My son, he came and worked with us, but he's working for Ferrari now. Yeah. He's been there 5 years almost. He does warranty work for Lamborghini, for Maserati. He was on the phone with Lamborghini the other day. He was like, Dad, he's like, it's so cool. He goes, we had a video meeting, and the guys were in Rome, and I told them about how you lived in Italy, and they thought that was so cool. I'm like, yeah. I said, you need to go to Italy. He's like, yeah. He goes, I do Lamborghini, I go Ferrari, I do Maserati, and I haven't been to Italy yet. Yeah. I was like, no, you need to. And when you go, I'm going with you. Yeah. But when you show the passion for what you do. We never showed our children passion for what we did at our shop, because that wasn't our passion. That was what allowed us to be at every one of their high school meets, to provide for them, to give them their dance costumes, to give them their prom dresses to and children. You never explain that to children because first of all,
you don't want to.
You're a parent, and also you don't want to be that parent that goes, you know what I did for you.
Well,
no.
you don't want to put that burden on them.
Yeah, it's not because to be a child.
And the reason I asked that is because, like Zoe works for me, right?
Right.
And honestly, I'm not saying that just because she's my daughter. She's one of my hardest workers. Like, she does stuff. But we have had, like, conflicts at times where it's like, she's told me, she's like, you're harder on me than you are other people.
Because I expect more out of you.
Yeah, or you're willing to confront me about certain issues that you probably wouldn't tell other people. And it's like, I've had multiple episodes where I've like made her cry, and I feel
you
like
know
shit
why?
about it.
You know
but
why?
I've always tried to explain to her, like, look, you have to understand, like, my life is riding on this. Like, this is our life, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, these might be your friends, and they're cool, and I love all my employees. They're great. But if they experience certain behavior, I promise you I will correct it, but I'm going to jump on your ass right off the bat.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you have to realize that they have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And I just want to get her, not get her. She understands it. She loves it. She understands it. But it's like, I'm getting you to a point where you understand that, like, if this shit goes under, if the standard isn't met every fucking day with what we're doing, these people are going to go find another job. Yeah. As much as I love them, as good as employees they are, they're going to go find another job. Me and you, we're in the boat.
We're still right here.
That fancy new Civic you're driving, my girl, we can't pay for that, right? Like, certain things, and it's just like, I'm trying to get her there, and she is there. I think she gets it in her own way, but sometimes I think, I feel bad, and I think unconsciously or subconsciously, like, sometimes you gravitate to who you feel more comfortable with, so it's easier for me to be like, hey, do this shit this way, as opposed to what you were just doing.
I think, and this is just me, I think the best way to approach that would be to be like, look, this is where they are now.
Yeah.
This is where they may be tomorrow, in 5 years, but this is not where you're going to be in 5 years.
No, I don't want Zoe to run
I want you to have a foundation so good that when you go on and do other things, you go, this is a piece of cake compared to what I did.
I don't want Zoe to run 7-Tap. Nothing against, I love it. I love all my employees. I think it's great. Everybody's doing great, but it's like one of those things where it's like, girl, let me work my ass off and you go do something that you want to.
Yeah.
This is, I did this to myself.
Yeah, but
like,
also,
this is what I want to do.
But let her know the reason I'm hard on you is because I won't always be your boss. And you may go to a place where somebody is hard on you. And you need to understand that it's not personal. It's not because they don't like you. It's because you're not doing the job that they asked you to do. So when you get that correction, you correct it, and then you become.
And even with the other employees, I tell them all the time, I was like, I'm the most fun. Like, even when I get on them, I'm like, I'm the best boss you're ever going to fucking have. I fucking promise you. And then Brian will walk in from Bojack's like, you want that guy to be your boss? Because he's going to, and I'll tell him, like, in front of him, I was like, he's going to fuck you up. I promise. So do what the fuck you're supposed to do, and I'll keep you
You know
here.
what? That's why every military branch has basic training.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're going to, and your DI is going to be the hardest MF you've ever had in your life, because their job is not to make you feel good. Their job is to make you, is to prepare you to save lives. Their job is to prepare you to be able to handle a situation you've never been able to handle before.
Right.
And I think that's sometimes these parents nowadays, and I love I love everybody who loves their child, but sometimes you got to go, one day you're going to be gone. One day you're not going to be there for your child. Is your child going to be able to handle when somebody goes up to them and goes, you're a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Well,
but how many times as a parent have you realized, like, you're doing something right, or you're expressing something to your child, and you're talking to your child about something, and you're like, God damn, my mom was right. My dad was right.
Yeah.
My dad was right. And
you talk about all this,
it's like, because sometimes it's hard, that little barrier where it's like they think you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're like, and I've told Zoe, I'm like, baby girl, I'm not that far removed from this shit. Like, I've been there.
Well, you know what I realized?
All that bullshit, like all this, like we were doing it.
I realized.
So if you want to talk about,
we were just there the other night. She come and got you.
Yeah.
I was laughing. I was like,
I realized my dad was right, and I taught my son the same lessons, but I taught it differently.
Yeah.
Because there is a way to learn a lesson differently.
Well, I'll say this, my parents were very sheltered from that. Like, I didn't know, like what I did was like very distant.
Yeah.
From like.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like one of those things where it's like I talk to him and it's like, look, I know, like I know what kids this age are doing.
LeBron needs to get out of the tequila game.
Oh, hell, after all that other. Yeah.
No, yeah, I tried that after. I was like,
Well, no, I think it's I think it's a good.
so did I answer your
good.
question?
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
You did.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing you can do for your child is prepare them for. For example, if you died tomorrow, are you confident that your child would be able to take everything she's learned from you and go on with her life, or would she be like lost because you took care of everything for her?
I hope the first.
She'd
honestly.
be okay.
Yeah.
She'd be okay.
Yeah.
She'd be okay.
She's
And that's the thing you have to
she's
think
a very
about.
emotional girl, and I think that like, I think some of the shit might set in a little deeper. Like, oh, he was right about doing this.
I mean,
you know,
but that's still like, but you got to look at, you got to take it at face value. Like, were the values, the values laid out in front of you? This is what was expected of you, and if somebody asks something of you and you agree to it, are you going to deliver? That's what it really.
Well,
boils
and like
down
with
to.
me, with my oldest calls me by my first name. She doesn't call me Dad. She calls me Ben. But I don't blame her for it because I was 22 years old when I married my wife, and my oldest daughter was 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, I call my stepdad James.
well, we're
yeah,
like that. She
yeah.
calls me Zay. So,
Yeah.
like to her friends, she's like my dad.
So
You know,
and
so-
He's
when
only 8.
I thought
He's
about
only
it,
9 years older than me.
I thought
Or
about
10 years
it.
older
I
than
thought
me.
about it the other day, and I thought, man, you know what? Sometimes I feel like I could have done a better job. But here's the deal: I don't know what I don't know. You know, I learned how to be a parent by being a parent, not by watching my parents, because I was like, I do not want to be anything like my dad. So how do I be a dad? By watching other dads be dads.
Yeah.
You know, but when you've got 3 kids, you're in your early 20s, and I always love telling Sage that. So when I was your age, you were this age, and Chelsea was this age, and Lindsay was that age. He's like, no, no way. But I always think to myself, she had to learn how to live with me as much as I had to learn how to live with her.
Right.
You know, and so I'm so proud of her. Chelsea, if you're listening to this, I'm so proud of you. She's gone on. She's done great. She's a jet engine mechanic. She's the only child I have that I never have to worry about.
And
how
she's a
she's
Mavericks
doing.
fan, so that's, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but she's a Cowboy fan too, so you know I'm kind of worried about that. But you know, you, and I always think about when people say, "Oh, do you have a favorite child?" No, you don't have a favorite child. Nobody has a favorite child, but you have a child that you can relate to. You know, no parent loves one child more than the other. They just are able to communicate and relate to a certain child more than the other.
Right.
One's a problem child, one's not.
Right,
Yeah.
because
I guess,
I don't know. I wish I could understand how you think, but I'm also trying to raise 2 other children. So how can I take the time to learn how you think? I can't. I just really don't. So, you know, you're gonna screw up. You're gonna be a bad parent sometimes. You're gonna be a great parent sometimes. You're gonna be the subject of many therapy sessions with your child's therapist. But you just have to go, you know what? I was honest with you. I did the best I could. I never abandoned you.
And I have
I
my
loved you
flaws.
forever.
And I think that's important too. Like that you're like, hey, I'm not a perfect person by any means, but I'm gonna do what's best by you.
The thing to take more than anything is that we are privileged. We're privileged enough to sit down and have these conversations
dude,
about
I
this
love it.
shit.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, you're like, look, all this shit is really, really minute details. Like you had shelter, you had food, you had love, you didn't have abandonment, and now you're thriving. Like that's what you have to look at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like the further and further we get down the generational like timeline, it's like privilege, built on privilege. Like, yes, your predecessors are always going to have it worse than you.
Yeah,
Are we
100%.
preparing?
And you never want to,
preparing our
and you
children?
never want to hear, when I was your age, nobody wants to hear that shit. I don't
and
want to hear that
but
shit.
I feel like
They don't wanna hear that
every
shit.
generation says that.
Of course.
And I know like we're
And
gonna
it's true.
we say it
And it's true.
it's like whatever.
And it's true.
It is true.
It is true. But they can't relate to that. What they can relate to is that you taught me some shit. I listened. I didn't listen to some stuff. This is what happened when I didn't.
Yeah.
But I do remember when you said that, and oh shit, you was right.
Yeah.
But we got to wrap on that, guys.
All right,
Let's
man.
wrap it.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Love you
Next
guys.
time.
Hell yeah, love y'all.
Congratulations.
Again.
Bye bye.